on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game. It's a Thursday TD Power Hour. Next hour, Caroline Fenton is here. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, how we doing?
Good. Ian Safar is here. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
Okay, so the big news today, Carson Wentz did not practice. Did you see that?
I did see that, yep.
So Carson Wentz did not practice. Did you see the other part of the big news going on in Indianapolis?
I don't know if I did.
Ian, did you see the other part of the big news going on in Indianapolis?
Does it involve another quarterback?
It does involve another quarterback.
Yes, I did see this
who
news.
is practicing. So we all just assumed Jacob Eason was the backup quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts.
Right.
And so we assumed that if Carson Wentz is out, that Jacob Eason would then start at quarterback. The second-year man didn't get any experience last year, nor a preseason in 2020. Had a very unspectacular preseason in 2021. And Jacob Eason threw, I think, 5 passes the other day. One of them was an interception right into the arms of Jalen Ramsey. And we would assume that he would be their starting quarterback. But Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, reporting today, not so fast. Whoa. Brett Hundley. Remember Brett Hundley? Backup for Aaron Rodgers that year that Rodgers broke his clavicle and played like 5 or 6 games for the Packers and was abysmal. Brett Hundley on their practice squad has been getting the starters reps at practice. So Jacob Eason has not been getting the reps. So this is, by the way, to take you through how great the Indianapolis Colts are. Remember their great general manager that everybody just gets on their knees every time they talk about him? About this guy has built the best roster in the NFL, and Frank Reich and Chris Ballard cannot be stopped. Have you thought about this? Their plan to back up their quarterback, who, I don't know if you've noticed, gets injured quite a bit. Their plan to back him up was Jacob Eason. I believe a 5th-round pick, maybe a 4th-round pick last year who didn't get any experience. Jacob Eason. When Carson Wentz went down in training camp, they said, hey, no, we don't need to go get a quarterback. We're good because Jacob Eason is our backup. Then after about a week of practicing, they said, well, Sam Ehlinger, that rookie out of Texas, by the way, kind of sucked at Texas. That rookie out of Texas, Sam Ehlinger, he might be our guy instead of Eason. Ehlinger busts up a knee. Eason's the backup. Hundley gets released, goes to the practice squad. That's where he is. Wentz gets hurt, surprise, after the first 2 games. And now it's not Eason they're looking at starting. It might be Hundley on Sunday. And as I said yesterday, if Jacob Eason is the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday, the Tennessee Titans have no excuse to lose that game. The same, I will say, for Brett Hundley. Because when I saw that Brett Hundley had been getting the starters reps, I literally laughed out loud. I thought, that is some bad footballing right there. That is bad coaching. That is bad GMing. That is, first of all, when you've got Carson Wentz as your starting quarterback and you don't have a plan at the backup position, that's bad enough. But when your plan at the backup position proves in training camp that you don't trust him, and then you still have him as your backup, that's terrible. I mean, that is just laughable. And that's the position the Colts are in. But I was thinking about this, because I think we would all agree, right? If Eason or Hundley starts on Sunday, the Titans should win, right?
Yes.
Ian?
Probably so, yeah.
Okay. I kind of think they should win the game if Carson Wentz plays too. Carson Wentz is going to have no practice this week. I saw somewhere where they say, Frank Reich likes his players to practice at least once during the week if he's going to play them. Now, he's made an exception before for T.Y. Hilton, but Frank Reich normally doesn't make the exception, and he wants to see somebody practice. I guarantee you Frank Reich will make the exception for Carson Wentz this week if he doesn't practice and is still able to go on Sunday. But the severity of the ankle injury, as we have well documented, makes it very unlikely that he would be able to play on Sunday, or very unlikely that at this state of the season, this part of the season, that it would be smart to go risk Wentz to further injury on that ankle by playing him against the Titans. But shouldn't they still win, even if Carson Wentz plays? I haven't watched at length the 2 Indianapolis games, so I can't tell you every throw Wentz made or he didn't make. I do know this. When the Indianapolis Colts traded for Carson Wentz, the very first day that I interviewed Caroline Fenton for this job, I was celebrating because I didn't think much of Carson Wentz as a quarterback. Anybody see the shovel pass in the end zone that got intercepted last week? Ryan Tannehill normally doesn't make that kind of big a mistake. Carson Wentz does. He's made a lot of mistakes before. It's kind of like Mariota, right? Makes a lot of mistakes, can't stay healthy. You can't count on him. Mariota, from all reports, seems to be a better teammate than Wentz is. But I was never really afraid of Carson Wentz to begin with. Indianapolis this year in total offense and total defense. Now, remember, we made a rule on this show that we are going to go by points and not yards, because what happens is total defense is technically by yards, but they don't count yards on the scoreboard. They count points. With Carson Wentz as their quarterback, the Colts, 24th in total points scored, 23rd in total points allowed. They lost to the Seahawks at home, and they lost to the Rams at home. They, by the way, were gifted a touchdown by the Rams, who couldn't effectively snap a punt into their own end zone. Take that touchdown away, it's a much different game. I think that they should beat either guy. They should beat Wentz. They should beat Eason. They should beat Hundley. And there's something about the Titans that seems to be bothering me right now. And I read it in your tweets, and I heard it when Caroline would read the text line, or we'd take your calls over the last couple of days, which is some fear of Indianapolis, some fear of, well, if the Titans go out there Sunday and fumble the football, if the Titans go out there Sunday and drop the football, if the Titans go out there Sunday and can't snap the football, if the Titans go out there and remember Indianapolis last year, remember the shanked punt by Trevor Daniel followed by the block in the end zone? I do. And you're worried about all those things happening. And I'll just say this. Aren't we past that for the Tennessee Titans? They traded for Julio Jones. We said the day after they traded for Julio that the message there was, hey, fans, we think we're good enough to go compete for the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying that they are, they aren't. I don't think you can make a decision on September 23rd of whether or not somebody is a competitor for the Super Bowl or not unless their name is the Chiefs. That team I'll give you. Everybody else, I don't know. Are the Raiders or the Carolina Panthers good enough to compete for the Super Bowl? I doubt it, but they're 2-0. Stranger things have happened. So I go back, though, to this. If you think the Titans are competing for the Super Bowl, then they shouldn't lose at home to the Indianapolis Colts. And yeah, you're going to get the best effort from Indianapolis that they'll put out this season, because they know as well as we do that the Titans at 2-1 and them at 0-3, with the Dolphins and, more importantly, the Ravens coming up on the schedule, is not a place you want to be. They know that their quarterback is hurt, and if they run one of these other guys out there, they're probably going to lose. And if he plays, they're going to need some sort of Herculean effort and some sort of screw up from the Tennessee Titans in order for them to win. They know these things, but that still doesn't mean that you should lose. You should beat either quarterback. I have no idea what the line is. Caroline, if you could, please find me the line on Sunday's game. This is something that I probably should know. I'm going to guess that it has the Titans somewhere between 4.5 points and 5.5 points. And I look at that and I think, you should win this game. That is half of, well, we don't think Wentz is going to play, half of if Wentz does play.
It is 5.
5 in between 4.5 and 5.5.
Yep.
There you go. Okay. They're a 5-point favorite. They should win this game. And look, they threw out a clunker week 1 against Arizona. Things happen. I get it. But they throw out this clunker against Arizona week 1. Then they show you how good they can be on Sunday, in spite of the mistakes they made against the Seattle Seahawks. Do you know what is obvious to me after watching 8 quarters of football from the Tennessee Titans? It is obvious to me that they didn't practice and that bit them in the butt against Arizona, and that by the time they got to the third and especially the fourth quarter against Seattle, all that rust and all that we haven't practiced and we haven't played together and lack of chemistry, that kind of was gone. because they look like the Tennessee Titans that we've seen in the middle of the seasons each of the last 2 years running the football with Derrick Henry against Seattle. So if you're good enough to beat the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Jamal Adams, if you're good enough to beat that team, then you should beat the Indianapolis Colts at home. Again, Carson Wentz got hurt for 1 series, 2 series on Sunday. Other than that, he's been their starting quarterback against 2 teams that many people consider to be Super Bowl contenders, the Rams and Seattle, 24th in offense, 23rd in defense. So while we can sit here today, and we will follow the latest, because I think it would be an absolute, just unmitigated embarrassment if the Titans were to lose to Jacob Eason or Brett Hundley, I still think we should all be excited about the Titans' likelihood of beating the Colts if Carson Wentz does play. I think the Titans should prepare for Carson Wentz. I think the Titans will prepare for Carson Wentz. I think if they don't see Carson Wentz, they'll think, well, that's good. But at the end of the day, look at this Colts team. You should win. They're not that good. And if you are a Super Bowl contender, which is what we're told you are, if you're a Super Bowl contender, you should beat this team at home on Sunday. Caroline Fenton, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I came into this season thinking that this game at home should be a win, would be a win. It was when we were categorizing each game as a should win, will win. I said this game is a will win, and this was pre-Carson Wentz foot injury, and also, obviously, pre-Carson Wentz ankle injury. So, yes, I very much so think that this Tennessee Titans team should beat the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm not going to say handedly. I would say maybe a touchdown, I think, would be a fair ask.
Shouldn't be holding on to your butt at the end of the game.
It shouldn't go into overtime, and you shouldn't have to rely on Bullock to get you out of the game, which, you know, Seattle expectations are much different than the Indianapolis Colts. I think this should be a win. This very much so should be a win with Carson Wentz. And then you take Carson Wentz out of the equation. And then you look at their offensive line, which has been injury-ridden this entire season. Quentin Nelson going in there with bum feet, bum ankles, whatever it is that he's dealing with. Lower body injury, if you want to take hockey terms. This Indianapolis Colts team has been bitten by the injury bug, and it feels like almost every single offensive position. And yeah, they're going to be faced with challenges. They're going to have to stop the run. Jonathan Taylor is going to go out there expecting to have a big game, especially if Jacob Eason is out there at quarterback, whoever is a starting quarterback. I think that the Titans should expect Jonathan Taylor to have to want to go out there and have a big game.
Oh, yeah, you're loading the box.
So they're absolutely going to have certain challenges. But it's nothing that this Tennessee Titans team can't handle or shouldn't be able to handle. Because if you want to call this team a Super Bowl contender, this team has got to beat a Carson Wentz-less Indianapolis Colts team.
Ian, how do you feel about no excuses on Sunday?
I mean, I get where that would come from, you know, considering the quarterback situation and everything. But I don't know, man. The more and more I've been listening to stuff around this week, the more I just think the Colts offensive line in particular is going to come ready to play. We've seen them take over a game versus the Titans before. I would tend to think this game is going to be closer than we think.
So closer than we think may be a possibility. I can't accept losing this week. I can't accept it. I mean, if you want to go bananas, I mean, after the first game against the Cardinals, there was like a part of me that said, you know, gosh, I miss the way that it used to be on the show where I could just be incredibly reckless. And, you know, I could light any fire I wanted to, and then Floyd would be there with the extinguisher and just put it all out, and everybody laugh and have a good time. And I felt like I couldn't do that after the Arizona game because obviously Floyd's not here to say, you know, whoa now, in the way that he would say it. Now, we all know what I'm saying about this Indianapolis Colts team about I don't even care if Carson Wentz plays, they should win. We all know he'd say, whoa now, whoa now. We know we'd get that. But, I mean, in terms of reality, I just cannot see losing this game. Wentz, Eason, or Hundley, I cannot see losing this game for the Titans to be an acceptable outcome. There is no way. So whatever you want to say on Monday if they lose, and again, we've got a rule on this show, nobody gets in trouble for something they haven't done. But whatever you want to say on Monday, you can say on Monday. In fact, you know what? We'll just do 4 hours of calls on Monday. It's kind of what we do anyways. Mm-hmm. We will just do 4 hours of your phones if they lose on. Like, I won't even have anything prepared to start the show. We'll just open it and we'll just go phones if they lose. And you can say whatever you want. Be as mad at Vrabel, Robinson, Downing, Bowen, Tannehill, Henry, Lewan. I mean, Taylor Lewan gets all the flack. I mean, I'm starting to feel bad for Taylor, honestly. 615-737-1025. That's how we're starting the show today, which is this. I don't think Wentz is going to play. If Wentz does play, I still think they should win. And we should expect him to win. And there should be consequences, and we should be upset if they don't win. What do you think? 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, one thing that bothers me about the Titans. The day that the old Titans left, the Steve McNairs, the Eddie Georges, the day that they left, there has been a trend that has followed the Titans for years and years and years. And we saw it last weekend in a good way. But it can also be a bad thing. We'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company, right here on ESPN 1025, The Game. And, of course, we're streaming live on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Stillman and Company, we're delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 1025, The Game.
Hang out with us every weekday starting at 6 a.m. with Robbie and Rexroad.
I really am. You gotta be. I mean, I just totally am. You've gotta be.
Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2.
Good participation.
We have a system now, thank goodness.
I had a funny moment happen.
And Stillman and Company from 2 to 6.
I have a story.
Get a cupcake.
Watch live on Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube. Tune in anytime on the Game Nashville app or your home speaker. This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
Bring home unstoppable comfort with a new Train heating and cooling system. At Train, we test so it runs. Visit traininfo.com to find your local dealer. It's hard to stop a train.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of pills? Well, I have breaking news. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most proven form of wave technology available, clinically shown by Cambridge to open up and regrow blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're gonna love that. And to those that call in the next 2 minutes, you'll qualify for an extra treatment free. This is an unheard of value worth hundreds of dollars. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic in the next 2 minutes to qualify for this unprecedented offer. 615-576-5000.
Hey, Darren McFarland here. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. DraftKings is kicking off another week of action by giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Listen up. All you have to do is just bet $1 on any football game this week and receive $150 in free bets instantly, no matter what. And this football season, all customers can swing big with the DraftKings same-game parlays. Same-game parlays allow you to combine multiple bets for a bigger payout. This week, place a same-game parlay on any NFL game, and you will be credited up to $25 if your bet loses. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code 1025GAME to receive $150 in free bets instantly when you place a $1 bet on any football game. That code again, 1025GAME. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, you must be 21 years of age or older, Tennessee only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Ever heard of a cold-like virus called RSV? RSV can cause complications in older adults, including pneumonia. The Evergreen study is assessing if an investigational study vaccine can prevent RSV disease caused by a respiratory syncytial virus in older adults. If you're 60 years of age or older, you may be able to join the Evergreen study. Visit clinicalresearchassociates.com/RSV to learn more. That's clinicalresearchassociates.com/RSV.
It's football season, and Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is here to serve you. Right now, they're running a tune-up special for one system for only $55. You heard that right. A great tune-up special for only $55. One of the many ways you can save at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. You get 6 months no-interest financing available on repairs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, locally owned and operated, offering premium service without the premium price. Visit springhillac.com or call them at 615-778-8855.
Breakfast with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Sort of along those same lines, Vrabel just said that focus can't only be a response to adversity. Can it be a challenge when you're piling up wins, maybe and things are going well, to stay focused and keep that sense of urgency?
It can if you let it, but that's not our mentality around here. That's not our mindset. Success doesn't just happen, especially in this league. It's tough to go out and win every week, and if you let your attention and focus slip, then it's going to show. So our mindset, no matter what's going on, is to come to work ready to go, work to get better each and every day, prepare to win football games, whether you're coming off a loss or a win.
That was really nice of Ryan Tannehill to say yesterday. Hey, we come in same way every week, no matter what, win or loss. We keep our focus. Ian, you buying that one?
It can be tough in the NFL. It can be very week to week.
Do you think for them, what we've seen over the last 3 years, Vrabel's tenure, so the last 4 years, including this year, do you think the Titans approach games after they win the same way they approach games after they get embarrassed?
Oh, maybe not after that. That might be a little bit different. After embarrassed, that's one thing. It seems like they do kind of pick it back up.
Yes. So when Tannehill sits there and says, hey, that's not our mentality, is it?
I believe that Tannehill thinks that's what their mentality should be, but I don't buy that that's what it actually is.
I think Tannehill says that maybe because that's his mentality.
Yeah, that's true.
His
mentality can be different than the rest of the team.
I think he and Derrick Henry live that lifestyle. I'm not sure the rest of the Titans do. And that would be the thing that scares me the most right now about this Indy game. I don't think Wentz is going to play. I really don't. But if you were to say what's going to scare you the most, it's the fact that the Titans, when things are going well, the Titans get way too cocky and they go to the Buffalo Bills in 2018 that had a rookie Josh Allen who was nothing like the Josh Allen he is today, and they fumbled the football 2 or 3 times, and Nick Williams dropped the ball in the end zone, and they lost a game that they should have won that probably would have gotten them in the playoffs that year. That is what the Titans do when things are going well. They were 3-1. Everybody was feeling great. They had just beaten the world champion Eagles. And they go to Buffalo and they lose. Remember last year, Halloween at Cincinnati? Oh, that was bad. When things are going well, the Titans, sometimes they get a little too cocky. Now, I think that's probably how most teams in the NFL are. That outside of like Brady's Patriots or Kansas City or the teams that just have so much talent that they can't lose. So they're going to go 13-3. I think those teams, probably are able to handle it the right way. But I got to tell you, the Titans, they don't sit well with success. So as much as we talked about on Friday, the Seattle game, of me saying, hey, the reason I think they've got a shot to win this game is because there's something about this team after they get embarrassed, playing a game that they have no business winning, that somehow, some way they find a way to win. And that is exactly what happened last Sunday. If there was anything that would make me nervous about this Colts game, a Colts team who mano I think they're better than, who are probably going to be without their starting quarterback, who are probably going to be playing a practice squad quarterback. That game, there is nothing that truly bothers me, except I think sometimes the Titans get a little too cocky. That's it. Sometimes they get a little too cocky. And we've seen it over the years. And I just hope this Titan team doesn't get too cocky.
But I can understand that 100% if you are on a heater, if you are on a 4 or 5 game winning streak, but they're not that far removed from getting absolutely blown out of the water in Arizona. I'm not saying that that's like that could possibly change their mindset. I'm just saying, like, hey, stay grounded here.
Corey Curtis texted me and said that injury is the only thing that he's worried about. Knock on wood. That's just no fun.
Yeah.
The whole injury thing is just, it's not fun. Like you lose a game because you screw it up, it's probably not fun there either, but it's probably more fun than, if something just catastrophic happens.
Right.
ESPN 94.9 is the official English radio home of the Nashville Soccer Club. Listen in Sunday. Nashville SC takes on Chicago. Pregame 11:45 a.m. The match begins at noon. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Steven is going to kick us off today on the Colts game. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Steven. Steven.
Can
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead. You're on the air. Go.
I was going to kind of go along the same line. I felt in the back of my mind that we were just going to win the game because that's in that corner. And then this week it feels like this is
Okay, I'm going to have to let you go because your phone's just killing me. But I think I got the gist of what he was trying to say, right? Like last week I felt good because the Titans are backed in the corner, and this week I'm nervous because it doesn't feel like the Titans are backed in the corner. That is a legitimate fear that you're allowed to have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think if you have an irrational fear of something, like let's say you look at this game and you call the show in a panic. And you say, but Jared, they have Rodrigo Blankenship, and we have Randy Bullock, and I don't know what we're going to do. Like, to me, that is an irrational fear.
Yes.
That is, you know.
Although I'm very pro-Hot Rod, I think the Titans are going to be okay.
Never forget the missed 30-yard kick that he missed in the playoffs last year at Buffalo. They lost by a field goal.
That is true.
I'm just saying. That's an irrational fear. The idea that the Titans get too cocky this week, not an irrational fear.
And I think also that's a very legitimate fear to have this early in the season because you can really only look at 2 games to see what this team actually is. So you're kind of banking on the Titans because you don't know, like, what are the Titans' strengths. We can see what they have done in these past 2 games, but I think that is a legitimate fear, seeing as though we don't necessarily know very much about the core of this team.
I just don't like the irrational fears. Rational fears, I am totally okay with. The one thing I would say is I do feel like perhaps that this is the radio show that they just need to put into the locker room. Like, they just need to listen to Stillman and company in the locker room because I think we keep it the realest, right?
I try to keep it real.
Like, I think that they need to hear this, that if you lose, it's on you. That if you lose, there is no way out of it of us to sit there and say, well, you know, I mean, they lost this game. And you have to understand Derrick Henry was tired after all the carries that he had yesterday. And it was no.
None of that.
No. Not acceptable. What's on the text line?
One texter texts in and says, I hope the Titans win, but the Titans usually lose games that they are supposed to win.
See, that's the point I'm just making right here.
Right.
And I do wonder, like when Tannehill gets asked those questions, like he was asked, and that's not our mentality around here. That's not how we. Do you think he knows in the back of his mind the exact same thing that we're talking about right now? Because we can say it. They can't say it.
Mm-hmm.
Tannehill can't get up there and say, yeah, guys, look, I wasn't here in 2018, but I remember after beating Dallas and New England that we got spanked in back-to-back games by the Colts and the Texans. Like, Tannehill can't say that.
But it's a reality.
Yes. And even last year. You know, last year they were 11-5, so I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, like, games that they lost. They lost to the Steelers. That was, both teams were 5-0. That was what it was. They were hurt in the secondary of the game against the Bengals. They just didn't play well that game, but they were coming off of a loss, so it wasn't like they were cocky and arrogant. They lost the Colts game because they changed punters. You could argue that was kind of one of those games where they got a little too cocky. I want to say they beat the Bears on a Saturday, the Bears on a Sunday, and then played the Colts on a Thursday. And I still have like a piece of paper that has all the points I felt like the Titans lost themselves. I still have a piece of paper that is in a safe here in my house that has like all these points that the Titans cost themselves. And it was something around 30. Now, Floyd shot like a couple of those down, so it was like 20-something. But it was like an A.J. Brown drop touchdown. It was Clowney not stopping him on a 4th down when he had the guy wrapped up in the backfield. It was a celebration, issue. It was so they cost themselves a lot of points in that game. So maybe that was the one where they came out and kind of clunked it. But Indy was an evenly matched team with them last year, and then they lost to the Browns and the Packers. 2 teams were probably better than them. So last year they didn't do it. The year before they definitely did it. They went to Cleveland week 1, and they, smoked the Browns on national TV. The next week they lost to Indianapolis and Jacoby Brissett at home. And Mariota spiked the ball on 3rd down, and it was a mess. I want to say they beat the Chiefs in I think it's right. They beat the Chiefs in 2019. They went on the road to Carolina and lost. So I think Carolina was before them. Anywho, I'm just rambling. Go ahead.
Why do you think that is? Is it a mindset? Is it just history working against them? Because that's what we talked about so much last week was the Titans have such a wonderful track record of getting embarrassed and coming back and winning games that they're not supposed to, and that's exactly what they did.
So I think that in order to be a truly great pro athlete, I've talked the story about the Tim Grover book. It's called Winning, and it's about like how hard it is to win, but how it's much harder to continue to win. And he was the trainer for Michael Jordan and Kobe, and he was talking about how like if you're as dedicated as Kobe Bryant, or if you're as dedicated as Michael Jordan, you don't get caught up in what you won. You're always working on winning again. That's why whenever Tom Brady's asked, what's your favorite Super Bowl, his answer is always,
the next one.
The next one. And that's like, Nick Saban, they win the national championship. I'm proud of the players. On to the next season. Floyd told me a story one time. They played the Super Bowl, the Eli Manning second one, where he throws the ball to Mario Manningham and Wes Welker drops it. And they lose the Super Bowl. And they fly back from Indianapolis. And so, I don't know, like when I was a freshman in college, we went to the national championship game in women's basketball. And so that was like a month of traveling. And there's a lot that goes into the NCAA tournament, like a lot of sitting around time and just a lot. I remember when we landed from St. Louis and got everything, squared away. I remember going back to my dorm room and just being exhausted. And I was an 18-year-old manager. So we're talking about Bill Belichick coaching the Patriots. So they fly back in from Indianapolis, and that night Bill Belichick is hosting a personnel meeting to get ready for the draft. Like, that's what these the great coaches, great players do. I'm not sure the Titans are completely there yet. I think Derrick Henry is. I think Ryan Tannehill is. But I think the rest of the team, sometimes I think maybe they get a little too caught up in the BS. Lawan, AJ, I think they sometimes maybe get a little too caught up in that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll get back to your texts and, of course, your calls. And coming up next, Chris Sanders is worried. He was worried yesterday. It's a little too irrational. We'll discuss next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game. Buying a car can be overwhelming. That's why I got to tell you about my friends at Edmunds, especially now that the demand is back in full swing. Lucky for you, Edmunds has been taking the stress out of car shopping for over 50 years. Edmunds editors drive over 500,000 miles every year, testing thousands of hours on hundreds of new vehicles. They review almost every car on the market and rank the best ones in each category so you can narrow down your search and compare options side by side to find the best vehicle for you. When you're ready, Edmunds makes it easy to find options in your area with accurate price estimates. Edmunds has the top-rated awards. Their editors, based on extensive testing and ranking process, will consider performance, comfort, technology, fuel economy, value, and more. They've also got helpful filters. So, you know what? You don't want a green car? Don't get a green car. That's what I love about Edmunds. Edmunds is here to guide you to your perfect vehicle. Visit Edmunds.com to see their best car rankings and search for vehicles near you. That's EDMUNDS.com. For cars, there's Edmunds.
Titans, Colts. Division rivals renew acquaintances in Week 3 at Nissan Stadium. Tune in Sunday at 9:30 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard, live from Rock Bottom Brewery and Restaurant on Broadway. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Darren McFarland here. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. DraftKings is kicking off another week of action by giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Listen up. All you have to do is just bet $1 on any football game this week and receive $150 in free bets instantly, no matter what. And this football season, all customers can swing big with the DraftKings same-game parlays. Same-game parlays allow you to combine multiple bets for a bigger payout. This week, place a same-game parlay on any NFL game, and you will be credited up to $25 if your bet loses. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code 1025GAME to receive $150 in free bets instantly when you place a $1 bet on any football game. That code again, 1025GAME. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, you must be 21 years of age or older, Tennessee only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Get the ultimate mouth guard with affordable coverage from Delta Dental of Tennessee. Offering a large network of dentists and a variety of plans, you'll get better coverage than a defensive secondary. Learn more at deltadentaltn.com.
We can see your smile, and we think you should be able to see it too. With Delta Dental of Tennessee and Delta Vision, we can improve your overall well-being by keeping your teeth and eyes healthy. Visit deltadentaltn.com to find an affordable plan.
The Parker Store at 1909 Nolensville Road in Nashville is the Parker Factory Authorized Store for your Parker hydraulic, pneumatic, water, and chemical hose needs. They stock metric tubing and hose connections to 42 millimeters in size, and they'll fabricate while you wait up to 6,000 PSI hydraulic hoses in a 2-inch size. Call the Parker Store at 615-248-8245 for all the Parker requirements you have. The Parker Store, 1909 Nolensville Road.
This Saturday,
Touchdown Vanderbilt.
The Vanderbilt Commodores kick off SEC action on West End when they host the unbeaten Georgia Bulldogs. Pre-game at 9:30. Kickoff at 11 on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
We know since I've been here, it's been probably one of the toughest game that I didn't play, especially just up front. You know, them guys, they work together good. We got to come with our hard hats on, ready for a physical game, all 4 quarters. We know them guys, no matter if they down in what, they still gonna be able, they still gonna try to run the ball, and that's something that we got to stop this week. And that's their run game attack. And we know they very physical in the run game. Like I said, that's something I think, and I know that we'll be up to challenge for too.
Jeffrey Simmons worried about the running game. I'm not worried about the Colts run game.
Why?
Because, are you familiar with the name Anthony Wright?
No.
So Anthony Wright was a quarterback in the early 2000s. He started 2 games in his career against the Titans. One was for the Cowboys on Monday Night Football at the end of the 2000 season, and the Cowboys, I think, were 5-11 that year under Dave Campo. They were just getting through with it. It was the last game. Titans had to win in order to get the number 1 seed, and so you know how those games go.
Right.
Just a total beatdown. And then Anthony Wright was like a free agent quarterback that was always bouncing team to team to team. And Anthony Wright, the Ravens, got ravaged at quarterback right before the end of the 2003 season. Did not have a quarterback to play in the playoffs. Now, they had a 2,000-yard rusher in Jamal Lewis, but they did not have a quarterback because I want to say, I think Chris Redmond was their starting quarterback, and he got hurt. And Kyle Bowler was a rookie they took out of Cal in the first round, and he got hurt. And so all they could do is throw Anthony Wright. And the Titans, facing 2,000-yard rusher Jamal Lewis with Anthony Wright at quarterback, just loaded the box and go ahead, Jamal. And they tried to give it to Jamal Lewis, and I think he got 30-something yards. Because everybody in the ballpark knew he was getting it. So Floyd used to always say that if you're going to run the ball, I'll always be able to stop it because I can always bring one more down, which in theory is true because somebody has to be running the football. And that person cannot be blocking, whereas you can bring all 11 guys on defense down. And if Brett Hundley's starting at quarterback, or if Jacob Eason is starting at quarterback for the Colts, and I'm thinking it's going to be Hundley, then I'm not worried about them running the football because the Titans are absolutely going to stack the box. I mean, they're going to just rotate those DTs in and out there. They're going to have Rashaan Evans down there. They're probably going to play a lot of David Long Jr. down there. They're going to have the safety coming down. They're going to do all of it.
I think that's fair because I look at it in the way of Jonathan Taylor can be a legitimate threat at running back, but also Jonathan Taylor is their only threat on offense at this point. From what we can probably assume with their quarterback situation, it seems like the running game is the only legitimate threat against the Titans. So I think that is fair if you can identify what that one threat is. I mean, you can stuff the run all day.
And when did Jonathan Taylor become this guy that everybody's so worried about in the running game? When did Jonathan Taylor become a guy that's hey, Jonathan Taylor is a bad boy. And look, I'm a total believer that Jonathan Taylor is a bad boy.
Yeah, I am a total believer that Jonathan Taylor is a bad boy.
But when did he do all of that?
I would
at
say
the end
probably
of last season.
Year.
The end of
and
last
who was his
season.
quarterback then?
Phillip Rivers.
And who's his quarterback Sunday?
Not Phillip Rivers.
Okay. 615-737-1025. Chris Sanders, he says he's worried about the game. Now, I'm going to say this. If this were the Chris Sanders Titans, the 2000 Titans going into this game, other than Al Del Greco missing about 10 kicks, there is nothing I'd be worried about. Even if Carson Wentz was 100%, I wouldn't be worried. That Titan team would kill this team. But Chris Sanders on our show yesterday said he's worried.
The reason why it scares me is because they're kind of in the situation that the Tennessee Titans were in last year. I'm not talking about the quarterback situation. I'm talking about overall. Everybody's saying their offense stinks. Everybody saying that they can't do it. Everybody's saying that they don't have the mojo like they had, a couple of years ago. Their back is against the corner, and that's the same thing with the Tennessee Titans. Everybody said they couldn't do it. They couldn't overcome adversity. So this is a team that's 0-2, and also this divisional game. So they're going to have to come out and play to figure out and get a win. I don't know if Wentz is going to play. I don't know if Easton's going to play. But I think they're not going to put it in the quarterback's hands. They're going to put it in Taylor's hands. So, I just think that, everybody's thinking that, okay, the Tennessee Titans are going to blow them out. Pump your brakes now, because you got to remember this is a team that has their backs against the wall, and it's a dog that's backed up in the corner, and the only thing they can do is step out and bite. So it's going to be a good game. I think the Tennessee Titans are definitely going to win, but I just think it's going to be a closer game than what people think.
You heard me chuckle there at the end of that, because Chris is like, I'd be worried. Now they're going to win.
They're going to win, but I'm still worried.
But I'm worried that.
Knowing what I know about Jadeveon Clowney, I would still do it again.
Hey, I saw you taking Joe's side yesterday, so I don't want to hear any of that.
Well, you were twisting his words a little bit, so you have to defend him.
Clowney played in 2 more games after that.
Okay, because he got hurt.
He always gets hurt.
You cannot predict a guy getting hurt.
Yes, you can. Who's the quarterback of the Colts?
Carson Wentz.
What is the number one thing about why this guy can't be your quarterback?
Because he always gets hurt.
And what is he now?
Hurt.
Okay.
But you cannot say, I feel like Jadeveon Clowney is going to get hurt in the next 2 weeks. No, you cannot do that.
And if Clowney hadn't gotten hurt, he still would have sucked. You want to know what projected out over 16 games? Do you know what 0 sacks in 10 games or whatever he played last year?
Uh-huh.
Do you know what that projects out over 16 games?
0.
Joe. Yeah, I guess he could have played. I guess Clowney could have played a game. And I guess Clowney could have gotten a sack in that game. But he didn't get sacks in any of the other games.
Well, you never know. Julio Jones didn't get very many catches week
You know
one.
what? You're right. Brett Hundley could come in here and throw for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns, and they'd win.
He could. Will he? Probably not.
You know what? Let's bet your life savings on it.
I don't think I will.
Oh, okay. Because Joe...
How does that have anything to do with Jadeveon Clowney?
Because Joe was willing to bet Jonnu Smith on Jadeveon Clowney.
Okay.
Signing Clowney cost them Jonnu Smith. So he was willing to do that. Now, let me ask everybody out there. How would Jonnu Smith look today? Would you take Jonnu Smith right now?
Probably.
Okay. 615-737-1025. We'll get back to your phones. We'll do that coming up next. Invigorate Health. My guys, InvigorateHealthTN.com. Do not feel old anymore. Being old stinks. I'm going to be 32 this week. I have no interest in it, and I just know that how I feel at 32 and how I'm probably going to feel at 42 and 52 is not how I felt when I was 22, 24, 25. And that's why you need to give my friends at Invigorate Health a call. Perhaps you need an IV therapy. IV therapy increases mental capacity. It relieves stress, revitalizes hair and skin, bolsters your immune system, full body detox, and much, much more. Maybe you need the hormone replacement therapies, testosterone, you name it. Therapies that can restore your vitality and are designed with you in mind. You'll go in there, get a consultation. They'll take your numbers, your blood work, everything, figure out what's wrong with you. You can't put your finger on why you feel the way you feel. It's like, why do I feel? Let them do it for you. It's that simple. And they've got the M-Sculpt Neo. I've been telling you about the M-Sculpt Neo now for a minute. It's the world's first and only technology that uses radio frequency and high-intensive electromagnetic fields to eliminate fat and build muscle non-invasively in those hard-to-fix spots. Places like your tummy, places like your hips, your abs, you name it. On average, you lose about 30% of the fat and gain about 25% of the muscle. Abdomen, buttocks, inner thighs, outer thighs, front thighs, back thighs, biceps, triceps, calves, you name it. The M-Sculpt Neo takes care of it. Invigorate Health. InvigorateHealthTN.com. Give them a buzz today, 615-288-4777. And Invigorate Health. Stop feeling old. Feel like you today.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Lots of sunshine this afternoon and for the rest of the week. Highs back into the upper 60s and lower 70s. No storms in sight.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
When you purchase a certified pre-owned vehicle from Mercedes-Benz of Music City, you have the power of the star backing your car to meet certification standards. A car has to be less than 6 years old with less than 75,000 miles. All certified vehicles come with 24/7 personal assistance and an extra 12-month unlimited mileage warranty. Right now, you can get 1.99% financing for 36 months on select 2017 to 2019 certified models at Mercedes-Benz of Music City. See more at mbofmc.com.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and we got a big matchup coming up on Monday night between Philadelphia and Dallas, and FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win, and that means you can end the NFL week the right way by winning $150 on a $5 bet. Personally, give me the Cowboys in this game. Really like the way Prescott has been playing since coming back from injury, but you take it whatever way you want to take it. Offers like this are just one of the many reasons I love betting the NFL on FanDuel. It's the #1 rated sportsbook app in America, and they get you your money quickly in as little as 24 hours. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just sign up with promo code ROB this week before Dallas takes on Philadelphia, and you can win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember, promo code ROB so they know that I sent you. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. A $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus of $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Robbie Stanley.
Coming in off the water. Yeah. Coming in there to tailgate.
Joe Rex Road.
That was fun.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rex Road every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is on. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company, ESPN 102.5 The Game. Let me tell all the fine folks out there that the NFL Game of the Week this week is brought to you by Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. The Game of the Week, Monday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys kickoff on ESPN 94.9 is set for 7:15. Titans and Colts. TD is in the on-deck circle for the TD Power Hour. Let's go to your phones. Caroline Fenton on the text line. What do we have?
Ramal texts in and says Jack Doyle, Titan Killer, Marlon Mack, Titan Killer, T.Y. Hilton, Titan Killer, and Pittman as well.
Isn't T.Y. Hilton hurt?
He's on IR.
Yeah.
So take that out of consideration.
So here's my thing, right? So the Titans, when we talk about the Colts, and I would assume we'll get into this probably more tomorrow about like the Colts. In fact, I think it was me 2 years ago that was bloviating on the air about
Good word.
The Colts curse.
Mm-hmm.
And Ian, you remember that, the Colts curse?
I do.
Oh, I remember the Colts curse.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just losing my bananas.
It is real.
But here's my thing about the Colts curse is since since Andrew Luck retired, the reason that the Colts were better than you for so long was because they had Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck and you didn't. And not only that, you were bad. Like when you were good, people forget in 1999, after the Titans beat Buffalo in the Music City Miracle game, they went on the road to an Indianapolis team that had the bye and beat them. And in 2002, the first year of the AFC South, the Titans went on the road to Indianapolis, beat them, and then beat them here. But they won because they had Peyton Manning and you didn't. Then you got bad and they still had Peyton Manning and you didn't. And then they lose Peyton Manning and you're going through your stretch of bad coaches, bad GMs, Mike Reinfeldt, Rustin Webster, Mike Munchak, Ken Wisenhunt, the end of the Jeff Fisher era, which was just as bad as anything else. And they had Andrew Luck. And so when you lost a lot, it was because they had Peyton Manning and they had Andrew Luck and you didn't. Since Andrew Luck is retired, the Titans are 2-2, I believe, against the Colts. But the losses were somewhat understandable. One was because Marcus spiked the ball on third down, and that was the moment of truth where, honestly, I think Floyd probably gave up on Marcus. So you probably needed to lose that game. And then you went in there with Tannehill and beat him. And then the second time you lost was that game last year where you tried to switch the punter in the middle of the week, and the punter got shanked one and then got one blocked. But other than that, I mean, hey, you beat the Colts in Indianapolis twice. So I don't think the Colts curse is that big of a thing. And in the 2 games you won, Indianapolis was really injured. And guess what? If Carson Wentz doesn't play and Brett Hundley's their quarterback, they're really injured. You beat them twice the year that Andrew Luck got hurt, didn't play, and Jacoby Brissett was their starting quarterback. You beat them on Monday Night Football here, and you honestly weren't even that good. What else?
One texter texts in and says, all of this confidence against the Colts is crazy talk. Frank Reich knows Vrabel is his B word. The only time the Titans have beaten the Colts is when the Colts had injuries to their best defensive players. Remember when the Colts went for it on 4th down 3 times in a row in their own territory? That's no respect because we have a crappy defense. I don't care who plays quarterback for the Colts. Frank Reich will just run it down the Titans' throat. But nobody on the Titans' defense scares them except Jeffrey Simmons.
That's not a lack of respect for the Titans. That's Frank Reich. That's what he does. Remember the playoff game last year? He's going for 2, and he's going for it on 4th. That's what he does. It would drive me crazy.
He's risky.
It would drive me crazy, the things that Frank Reich does.
Well, we were singing the praises of Mike Vrabel yesterday for not going for 2, for being a little bit safer.
Yes, for being smart.
Uh-huh.
The analytics, okay, yeah.
Well,
right.
and if it works, great. But I don't really know the statistics on how many times going for it or being risky like that really helps you out.
And it works for you, for example, Baltimore, who loves to do this. Mm-hmm. It works for you on Sunday night against the Chiefs. And everybody in September of 2021 says, Harbaugh believes in his guys. He believes in Lamar. He believes what they're trying to do. But nobody talks about it when they go for it on 4th and 1 at midfield in the playoffs in January of 2020, and they don't get it. And on the next play, Ryan Tannehill hits Khalif Raymond for the bomb, and the Titans are up 14-0 and stunning the loudest crowd at M&T Bank Stadium en route to knocking the Ravens out of the playoffs. Nobody talks about it then. Mm-hmm. So which one do you want to have? That's just how Frank Reich is. I also don't think that – here's the reality of the 6 times those two have faced each other. When you talk about just fair and square winning the game, I would argue that Reich has done it once, and that no other game was truly just one team beating the other without but that's not the way that history looks at games. No. But I'm saying that in the ones that the Indianapolis Colts have won. Mm-hmm. The Colts won, the Titans shanked a punt and got a punt block. They switched a punter in the middle of the week because Kern got hurt. That doesn't happen. It's a totally different game.
Right.
Just like when they played at Indianapolis last year, or 2 years ago, Tannehill's first year. When they played at Indianapolis, and Indianapolis had no receivers. We were doing the pregame show. Chris Sanders had no idea who their receivers were. And he's looking at the depth chart. And during a break, he just goes, who is Marcus Johnson? And I'm like, I have no idea. And so then the next segment starts talking about how great Marcus Johnson is and how much he's worried about Marcus Johnson. He didn't even know who he was. And so the Titans won that game. So forget about it. This is not going to be one of those fair and square games. It's not. Their starting quarterback is hurt. So even if he plays, which I don't think he's going to, it's not a fair and square game. And I don't know if the Titans have lost one of these games where the Colts were behind the 8 ball. I know the Titans have lost the games where they were behind the 8 ball. Dean Pease has to go to the hospital just in the middle of the game. Start of the game, Dean's got to go to the hospital. Vrabel on the sidelines has to start calling the defense. Come on now. That's all. It's but that's what's happened with this. So maybe the fear could be that something like that happens on Sunday, but the team that's behind the 8 ball right now is them. And so
the fear of things happening like that, unfortunately, you never want anyone to go to the hospital, or the fear of injuries. Those are things that are equally likely and unlikely for every single team. If you can look at what on paper, the facts, what we know going into this game, it feels like the odds are in the Titans' favor. Barring any sort of defensive coordinator needing to go to the hospital, quarterback going down, knock on wood, whatever that may be.
Here we go. Colts injury report is out. Thank you for this, Ian. Not practicing today for the Colts. Jordan Glasgow, a linebacker. Braden Smith, the tackle, the right tackle, did not practice. Carson Wentz did not practice. Darius Leonard with an ankle did not practice. Jack Doyle, resting, did not practice. Eric Fisher, who's got that Achilles injury, is coming off of a tackle, did not practice. So now, Darius Leonard did not practice. Add him to the injury report with an ankle. I can guarantee you this. If Carson Wentz and Darius Leonard don't play, the Titans may win by 500 points. It'll be a lot like the game last year on the road where
that's a lot.
Last year, Danico Autry and DeForest Buckner tested positive for COVID, and I believe Jonathan Taylor tested positive for COVID before the game too. And so it was Rivers versus the entire Titans team. And Derrick Henry, I saw this yet. Derrick Henry ran for like 178 yards, and I swore it was closer to 300. Like, that's how – I would love to know how many yards in that Colts game last year Derrick Henry had at the half. I'm going to guess it was probably 130. And then they just didn't run him in the second half. It had to be that way. I mean, that game, like, I remember doing the pregame show. I actually had like a scratchy throat. Mm-hmm. And so Chris Sanders was at Corner Pub, and I was here doing the pregame show. Because, like, it was like, no, Jared, scratchy throat, don't hey. And I remember doing the pregame show and being like, are they going to be able to stop these guys at all? And, Chris is, normal worried self.
Right.
And
Chris is a player, and I think that former players go into games with the mentality you've got to be worried about everyone.
Well, I think when they're not involved in it, they're worried about it like that.
Yeah.
Because I asked him if he played, would he be worried? And I wouldn't be worried. I would just know that I'd have to. Okay. So you wouldn't be worried if he played. We know former GMs are worried about every game. Ain't that right, Ian?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine how worried he'd be? Titans injury report. Here you go. Caleb Farley's shoulder did not practice. Anthony Ferkser, knee, did not practice. Derek Roberson with a knee, did not practice. Chris Jackson, sick. He did not practice. Jayon Brown and Bud Dupree both limited today, as was Roger Saffold. A.J. Brown, full participant today as well. Taylor Lewan, full participant. So anything to be worried about would be Farley and Ferkser. And, they can win without those guys. TD is in the on-deck circle, the TD Power Hour. What does he make of the Titans after the first two games? We'll get that next with Teron Davenport right here on Stillman and Company. It's the TD Power Hour next. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
It was a horrible start, and yes, it killed that drive and just kind of sent them spiraling downward the rest of the way.
The voice of the fan.
You cannot go 2 drafts in a row where you get nothing out of a draft.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Fiero Tequila Habanero is for those who enjoy the flavor of spice, naturally infused with fresh, vine-ripened peppers from farmers on the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Fiero Tequila Habanero is unapologetically the spiciest infused tequila available in the U.S. The hand-picked habaneros provide a delicious kick to the smooth Blanco tequila. It's a flavor punch that's perfect as a shot or a spicy way to spice up your hard seltzer, or perfect for a fiery cocktail. Available at fine liquor stores and your favorite drinking establishments. Fiero Tequila, the world belongs to the brave.
Hey, this is Jared, the owner of MTGRT.com. If your mortgage rate is not in the twos, then you need to call me now. We are locking in clients in the twos with no closing costs. That's right, you heard it right. Locking in clients in the twos with no closing costs. Text me on my personal cell at 615-969-2257 or fill out a few pieces of information on our website, MTGRT.com. MTGRT.com is the proud sponsor of Paul Feinbaum, heard on 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
312 Pizza Company is family-owned and operated, bringing you a slice of Chicago to Nashville. 312 Pizza Company specializes in deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and all things Chicago style. And always made from scratch using secret family recipes passed down generation to generation. 312 Pizza is open 7 days a week and located in Germantown with dine-in, takeout, and curbside available. Call 615-730-7888 to order 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Mark Howard here to tell you about my friends at Apple Collision Centers. We all know being in a collision is not fun. Neither is all the stress that comes with it, and that's where Apple Collision comes in. Let them take care of everything for you. That's insurance, repair, and your rental details. They've got 3 convenient locations in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Their managers, Tommy Rippey, Daniel Neville, and Chris Brooks and Marty Denson, combined for over 75 years experience. So stop in today and tell them Mark sent you. Online at applecollisioncenters.com.
MTSU football returns to Floyd Stadium October 2nd for the annual Blackout game against the Thundering Herd of Marshall. Kickoff at 6 p.m. The official Blackout ticket t-shirt package on sale now for just $15. Floyd Stadium provides guaranteed fun for fans of all ages with the Blue Raider Beer Garden featuring Steel Barrel Brewery, the Family Fun Zone offering inflatables, carnival games, and an ice cream station. Get tickets at goblueraiders.com/tickets and enter promo code Blackout 2021. Go Blue Raiders.
It's football season, and Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is here to serve you. If your AC or heater is old and inefficient, you can replace it with up to 60 months no monthly interest financing for qualified buyers. That's right, 60 months no monthly interest financing for qualified buyers. One of the many ways you can save at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They offer 6 months no interest financing available on repairs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, offering premium service without the premium price. Visit springhillac.com or call them at 615-778-8855.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman. On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. TD is in the house. Teron Davenport. The TD Power Hour presented by Freedom Tire Guys and Craneworks and Rental Works. FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, online at freedomtireguys.com. Craneworks and Rental Works, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit craneworks.com. TD, how are you today?
What's going on?
So, first of all, we should say national radio superstar Teron Davenport, because I'm driving around Friday night, and I'm just, I've always got my radio on 102.5, as everybody should always have that on it, and I'm listening, and I'm hearing TD with Freddie Coleman, and I'm like, man, TD is killing it. So I'm glad to have TD with us. Now, Seattle. TD, we talked to you on Sunday from Seattle on the pregame show, and I was saying to you, what happened to Taylor Lewan? What happened to Jayon Brown? What's this team going to do? They got embarrassed week 1. They're playing the Seahawks, and we all know what happened Sunday. So the Titans are sitting at 1-1. Big opportunity with Indianapolis and their issues with Carson Wentz today. And I want just kind of your thoughts on how you see the Titans right now after 2 games, admitting, obviously, that it is still early September football.
Yeah, well, like you said, it is early September football, but I think you're seeing a team reclaim their identity, and that was something they really weren't able to do against the Cardinals in the season opener. I mean, they had the physicality taken to them, but then you saw them turn around in Seattle, which, mind you, is a very hostile environment. They were able to go in there, and when it was time to turn things around, right, maintain, or not even maintain, but take hold of and then maintain that momentum, they went to Derrick Henry. And that's their identity. Derrick Henry running the football is their identity. They went to that despite being down by 2 scores in the fourth quarter. Derrick Henry, I think it was like 13 carries, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And that just lets you know where they're going when they want to win the football game. And in my opinion, that identity is very, very unique. Now, one team that does have a similar identity to that, maybe not as successful, is the Colts, and we could get into that later. But I just think it was really good for them to just, again, re-show what it is that they're about offensively. Now, defensively, there were some mistakes, but I think they were able to just fly around. Like once they started going to dime and you brought in David Long and Dan Cruikshank, you had speed all over the field. They were flying to the football and making plays, and that, again, is a part of the physical nature that this team aims to play with.
Did it feel to you, Jason Fitz said yesterday on the show, he felt like that the Titans through the first 6 quarters of the season looked like a team that didn't practice as much, looked like a team that didn't play in the preseason, and that eventually when they really got their real legs under them was in the second half of that Seattle game? Do you buy that?
I mean, I guess you could say that. I don't think they weren't in condition. Like, they were fine condition-wise. I think really it was just chemistry-wise and just
just playing the game.
They just got it taken to them, man. And I don't know if they practice. Because, look, the defense, right? The defense played in the preseason. The defense, practiced for the most part. Everybody outside of Nico Autry, they were on the field. So, I mean, can it apply to one and not the other? I don't know. So that's why it's hard for me to say that. I think, end of the day, they just got the business taken to them by Arizona.
What did you make of the offense and kind of the way that they played on Sunday against Seattle? Because, I mean, everybody can talk about Derrick Henry all day, and I am the first one who enjoys doing it. Tannehill threw for 350 yards, basically. And he did that with A.J. Brown having one of the worst days of his career, and you're not going to probably see that anytime soon.
Not like
Julio Jones was fantastic. It looked like the offensive line kind of found their rhythm a little bit, even with a backup in Sambrilo in there and Brewer having to play a little bit. And then, they threw the ball to Michael Pruitt, which, I mean, I think we all saw when he got released by San Francisco. I don't know about you, but I was like, bring Michael Pruitt back. And I feel like the offense showed in the second half of that Seattle game that they're going to be a Derrick Henry team, but that Tannehill's going to get the ball around, and that's exactly what he did on Sunday as well.
Yeah, and I think, that's something that was very critical for them to be able to turn around. And when you got a guy like Derrick Henry, and you could give him the football and have him do what he did, you always have a chance to win. I mean, that's the way I look at it, period.
Did you think that the Titans maybe learned their lesson from week one? Because here's the one thing that I will say, and I was not ready to get on the Todd Downing stinks train after 1 week. Because, I mean, there were some media people, but a lot of the fans, and I'm sure you got a lot of that too, TD, about people that were just like, Downing was awful in week one, and Downing doesn't know what he's doing, and Downing got rid of the play action, and I just kind of look at a play caller and I say, if we're going to live this life where, okay, if they don't score points, play calls were bad, and if they do score points, play calls are good, then you're almost taking away the talent of the players. And I felt like it was unfair to just throw Downing under the bus for week one. The one thing that I feel like he did, and maybe it was Vrabel saying, hey, this is what we're going to do if we end up in this situation, was for a lot of coordinators, it would be very easy down 24-9 or down 30-16 in the fourth quarter to say, hey, put Jeremy McNichols in the game. Let's start throwing the football. Let's try to all get it back right here. And in this game, Todd Downing didn't do that. He stayed with Derrick Henry, and he stayed with the play action. And I just don't think, for as much as people were talking about Downing getting away from the play action in week one, they're not discussing what he stayed with in week two.
Well, what you have to do is look at down and distance, and you can't just, you have to look at the game overall, right? And I will say there were multiple times in the first game where, okay, you know what? Don't run Derrick Henry first play of the series. They know it's going to happen. Then you get into second and third and long, and now your playbook's condensed. What he did very well in this past game was he mixed it up a little bit more, and it wasn't just running the football. You were getting favorable situations in second down and then third down, and you could open things up a bit. And then also, I will say this, that game, and some people will point to the Jaguars game where he set the record, it was like 223 with the 99-yard touchdown, and say that was his best game. I personally think this game that he just played was Derrick Henry's best game as a pro. And I said that to him after the game. Why? Because he was involved in all phases of the game. Anytime I get into, somebody asks me who the best running back in the game is, I'm saying Derrick Henry. And, we could argue about it all you want or debate it and all you want. But the argument that a lot of people give is him catching the football and him in third down situations, right? Pass pro. Well, he stonewalled Jamal Adams multiple times. He caught 6 passes for 55 yards. 2 of them were screens. The rest were just, as Ryan Tannehill said yesterday, just taking, as they sunk their coverage to stop stuff down the field, he was open for them. So I think that game was an excellent example of how his game is progression. And it's good to see because these are things, when you've been out there in training camp, you saw him up and down the field working with Tony Dews, catching the football. Every day during individual period, they're doing those pass pro drills. Now they're carrying over, and you're finally seeing those results show.
Well, I saw during the offseason, Derek post some of his workout videos, But Derrick, I think we all know that when you see 10 seconds of Derrick Henry working, there's probably 5 hours that day that you didn't see. And one of the things that he was doing in his offseason workouts, and I think he was in Dallas, was he was at SMU's indoor practice facility working with his trainer on running routes and catching the football. Mm-hmm. And he's still far from a finished product there. But I would argue that if Matt Eberflus, for example, is watching this tape Sunday and thinking, oh, no, now I got to deal with this too. Now I got to deal. And there's one thing about great players, the truly great players. And that is that if you devise a game plan to stop somebody, good luck. Everybody who plays a great player goes into the game saying, we can't let Peyton Manning beat us. We can't let this great player beat us. And every team, Pete Carroll said after the game, TD, that their game plan was to stop Derrick Henry. And at halftime, they were probably feeling pretty good about it. But I thought Derrick was running the ball pretty well, even though he only had 40 yards. Because the yards he was getting, I kept saying, that's the hardest 35 yards I've ever seen.
Yeah, and, they were tough, hard yards. But the fact of the matter is, as the game wore on, you could just see those carries is becoming more and more effective. And then shout out to A.J. Brown with that seal block. He sealed that edge. Henry went off of it, and he did what he does. And I think when you look at those type of things, and them being able to do that with Roger Saffold going out, right, and Lewan already being out, that's a testament to Keith Carter. For having those guys, for having Aaron Brewer ready, for having Tyson Braylo ready. It's a testament to them, too, for being ready. But I think it's another opportunity to praise Keith Carter for the work that he's doing. And that offensive line, I'm not going to say they didn't miss a beat, but they were still very effective with Henry running the ball late in the game.
I wonder how much of that's Keith Carter. I wonder how much of that is.
Oh, a lot of it is Keith Carter. If you go to practices, you will see a lot of the things that they work on, and you will see how that transfers to game. A lot of that is Keith Carter. I'm not going to let you sit here and yell and scream before about firing him, but then now that the offensive line is playing well, you say you're not that sure how much of it is. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
I gave Keith Carter credit in 2019 when I wanted him fired in the middle of the year, and then the offensive line played significantly better. What I will say, though, is nobody threw Keith Carter under the bus for week one, and I'm just I thought the offensive line was good, but I think sometimes Derrick makes that line better.
That's what you could say for any outstanding back. But at the same time, there are times where those holes are legit opened by that offensive line. So, there's back and forth with it.
But I don't think this is like Mike Munchak, though, where they could just take backups.
Jared, see, this is your issue, and this is what I have an issue with. You go so extreme. Mike Munchak is a Hall of Fame coach. Come on, stop. That's ridiculous.
Well, he's not a Hall of Fame coach. He's a Hall of Fame player, but he's
a Hall of Fame level coach. If you want to engage in splitting hairs, we could do that. But you understand what it is I'm saying. The fact of the matter is, you don't always have to go so far to an extreme.
No. I think Keith Carter's fine. But I think that if you can keep, if you got a $15 million left tackle and he gets hurt and the running back still runs for 2,000 yards, or you lose, a $16 million, whatever Conklin's making right tackle, and you can lose guys in and out of the lineup, and some days that your line doesn't block very well, to me, I just think that you put Derrick Henry on any team in the league, put him on Pittsburgh, where they can't block right now. And I still think Derrick Henry is doing Derrick Henry things out there because he's Derrick Henry.
It's a team thing. I'm not going to say it's all Derrick Henry and it's not all the offensive line. And I get it. You have your stands that you take and you are irrationally unable to veer away from it. I get it. But the fact of the matter is Keith Carter is doing a solid job, a very good job with the offensive line. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And that's coming from someone who's there every day watching him work with those guys. He is doing an outstanding job with them.
I will have to agree to disagree.
We will agree. And mine is coming from a much more educated perspective. Let's put it that way.
You go to practice, but what do you see?
You go to practice and you see them working on different techniques.
So who are the bad coaches then? Who are the bad coaches?
I'm not going to say they necessarily have bad coaches. I'm not going to say they have bad coaches. All of their coaches are solid. And this is something that I always talk about, how much their drills that they do in practice transfer over to games. But again, being there every day, I can see that.
But
and understanding and knowing football, I can say that.
Every coach is good.
Every coach on that team is solid. I'm not going to say every coach is good. There are some that are better than others.
They got to have one bad coach. I can't believe that an NFL team would have just great coaches across the board.
See, and this is what you're doing again, the silliness. So you're going from good to great. I didn't say every coach is great. I said every coach is solid. That's what and that's why sometimes talking to you is like talking to this glass on this window. You know what I mean? You have to be able to rationally have a conversation. I didn't say every coach on the staff is great. I said every coach is solid. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I like what I see as far as the drills transferring to games. And in some cases, the very drills that they do are transferring to big plays in games. That's impressive to me.
I just need them to not get, have busted coverages for touchdowns like they did last week.
Without a doubt, the busted coverages for touchdowns, those shouldn't happen. And remember what I said. Not every coach on that staff is great. Not every coach on that staff is good. But overall, they're solid. Then at the same time, if you preach over and over again, hey, listen, you got to communicate. This is a look. They're going to give you this combination. When they do that, this player's going here, this player's going there. Okay, coach, I got it. Okay, look, remember, in this situation, this is going to happen. And then you go out there, and the situation happens, and the player who said, okay, coach, I got it, doesn't get it. Is that on the player or the coach?
I mean, in that case, the players last year were saying it was on their communication.
No. I said, is that on the player or the coach? Let's focus on this one question.
Okay, say it again.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I said, if you go over a route, they do work on route combinations. Again, you got to go to practice to see these things. But they work.
Didn't open up 20 minutes though. It's not like you're sitting there the whole practice.
You have to go to practice to see these things because the DBs very much do. FYI, they work on route combinations during individual period when it's open. Okay, so you have like Chick Ejiasi, you have stretch. They put on the X or the Z or the Y jersey, and they run the routes and they give them looks. These are things that do happen, but you have to go to practice to see that. So yes. These are things that they do. They work on the route combos. Now, back to the question that I had.
Okay.
If, as a coach, if you continuously go over, okay, look, when they give you this look, this guy's going here, this guy's going there, you have to understand you're going to have to switch off, or one of you is going to take here, one of you is going to take here. If you go over that consistently on the field, in the classroom, and then the player says, okay, coach, I got it. When they go out on the field and it doesn't get executed, who is that on? Is that on the coach or is it on the player? Because the coach has gone over it ad nauseum.
It's on the coach. You know why? Because either you're
because you don't want to say that the coaches are good. That's why. Come on, let's be real.
Because either you're coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. And that is something Bill Belichick says, and at the end of the day, either you're coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. So that's like the fumbling issue. Like if a team fumbles too much, it's like, is it the coach's fault that they fumbled too much?
If you work on ball security over and over and over again, if you work on ball security, you have the sand-filled footballs and you teach the points of pressure and all that, and you consistently go over and the guy does it, is that really on the coach?
The coach is going to get fired, isn't he?
Not necessarily. Well, I mean, if you leave it up to you, yeah, everybody should be fired. That's your fan-like approach.
Name me a team that loses and then doesn't fire their coach. I mean, that the league is built on losing and you get fired.
When teams lose, they do fire their coach.
The coaches that don't get fired are Harbaugh in Baltimore because he wins, and Tomlin because he wins, and Belichick because he's won, and that's the league. I do have a Derrick Henry thought I want to get to. We'll do that next. 615-737-1025 and the TD Power Hour presented by Freedom Tire Guys and by Craneworks and RentalWorks. Be sure to check them out. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. That's right. The biggest game of Week 3 is Monday night, Philadelphia and Dallas, and FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger because FanDuel Sportsbook gives new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. That means you can end the NFL week right by winning $150 on a $5 bet. Dallas has looked good through 2 weeks, but I'm still going to go with Philadelphia because I believe more in Jalen Hurts. FanDuel is sports betting made simple, and they're always hooking you up with great offers. And when you win, you'll get paid in as little as 24 hours. Just sign up with the promo code JGM this week before Dallas takes on Philadelphia. You can win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember to use the promo code JGM so they know that I sent you exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in a designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after retreat. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Hang out with us every weekday starting at 6 a.m. with Robbie and Rexroad.
Limping off the field. I can confirm he was limping off the field.
Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2.
Wouldn't say it deserves a gold star.
We want people to play along.
This is what's crazy.
And Stillman and Company from 2 to 6.
I want to go last. Can I go last?
Sure. Watch live on Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube. Tune in anytime on the Game Nashville app or your home speaker. This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible. With innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Creating the finest award-winning tequila means starting with the best ingredients. Camarena Tequila is 250 years in the making from Arandas, Jalisco, Mexico. You see, at Camarena, they wait for their 100% blue Weber agave to reach maturity before harvesting each and every plant by hand. This allows them to consistently produce one of the smoothest and best-tasting tequilas in the world. Experience Camarena Tequila today, available at a fine liquor store near you. Camarena Tequila is the official tequila for the Nashville Soccer Club.
I come from a military family.
That's Stasha at Genesis Diamonds talking about the Hero Rewards program at Genesis, providing special discounts every day for heroes in uniform.
Whatever their budget is, we're going to make sure it stretches the best for them and that they will get the most beautiful ring at the best value.
Special hero pricing on any item extends to all military plus police, fire, and first responders.
They make us have the great life we have, and we are eternally grateful for that.
Genesis Hero Rewards program and free services is yours for life, no matter where you move.
Travel anywhere in the world, we're one phone call away. So no matter where you're stationed, if you're military or if you're a police officer and you go to another state, we're going to take good care of you.
Of course, it doesn't hurt that Genesis owner Boaz Ramon is himself a veteran of the Israeli army.
Boaz, having served in the military, appreciates the military and what they do for us.
Genesis Diamonds, where our heroes in uniform get red carpet pricing and white glove treatment every day of the year.
We're there for them because they're there for us.
Genesis Diamonds, continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Zines First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
MTSU football returns to Floyd Stadium October 2nd for the annual Blackout game against the Thundering Herd of Marshall. Kickoff at 6 p.m. The official Blackout ticket t-shirt package on sale now for just $15. Floyd Stadium provides guaranteed fun for fans of all ages with the Blue Raider Beer Garden featuring Steel Barrel Brewery, the Family Fun Zone offering inflatables, carnival games, and an ice cream station. Get tickets at goblueraiders.com/tickets and enter promo code Blackout2021. Go Blue Raiders.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
TD Power Hour presented by Freedom Tire Guys and Craneworks. Teron Davenport with us. TD, I'm going to give you an analogy Joe Rexroad didn't like yesterday.
Okay.
I think, and I've been going through this. I've been going through this weird obsession with 90s basketball. Like I
saw that. I saw that on Twitter. I saw that.
I don't care about regular basketball. Like, you could say, hey, Luka Doncic is – I don't care about that. But 90s, we can talk about it. Mm-hmm. I think that Derrick Henry is the Michael Jordan of the Tennessee Titans, and Ryan Tannehill is the Scottie Pippen. And, yes, I know quarterback is more important. Big picture football, quarterback is more important than running back. But the way that Derrick Henry takes over a game and the way that, like, Seattle knew, they knew that he could do what he did on Sunday, and he still did it. And it's like, when they said, well, Jordan, he's more of a dunker, he can't shoot. Okay, Clyde Drexler, here's 6 threes in the first half of game 1 of the finals. I think he's the Michael Jordan, and I think that you can win with that as your, like, a Super Bowl or compete. People will say you can't do it with a running back. I think you can do it with this running back because he's the Michael Jordan of the Titans.
Well, to further enhance your point, look at the fourth quarter, right? They were down by 2 scores. Who did they feed steadily, right? It was Derrick Henry. So I'm going to agree with you on the Michael Jordan of the Titans. He definitely is the one. And anytime you mention Derrick Henry, like you ask the coaches or even the player, they just say, well, that's our identity. So, yeah, for sure. I'm with you on that. And Ryan Tannehill is a smooth Scottie Pippen. I like that analogy too. And together, obviously, these guys hope that they can win a championship. I think really it's going to come down to how can one or the other respond when one of them isn't having an outstanding game. That's really going to be the key to this team being able to win. And you look at the Bills, right? Your team, the Bills. You look at the Browns. You look at the Chiefs. These are all teams, and the Raiders are easing their way into there. You're going to have to score a lot of points to beat these teams. So will you be able to do that if one aspect of your offense isn't hitting on all cylinders?
So I think that's a great point because last year in the Ravens game, they couldn't get Derrick going. Yeah. And at that point, Tannehill has to be the guy. Now, he's got better weapons this year with Julio Jones than he had with Corey Davis. But, then Tannehill's got to be the one to pick up the slack. The one thing I worry about is that they're really Stockton and Malone and not Jordan and Pippen. And Derrick Henry is Karl Malone. And Karl Malone was great, but Karl Malone couldn't win the finals. Now he had to beat Michael in order to do it.
Man, I couldn't stand Karl Malone.
I couldn't either, but that's because I was a Jordan fan. I do wonder, though, the path to the Super Bowl, because I think that Sunday's game on the road in that environment with that quarterback, that's a playoff team. If you go on the road to Buffalo or you go on the road, it's going to be as hard as that game Sunday. But that game Sunday is in that ballpark. I wonder, can you do that 3 times? 4 times. Can you go on the road if you have to 3 times or 2 times in a Super Bowl, go on the road against, Josh Allen one week, Lamar Jackson the next week, Patrick Mahomes the next week, Aaron Rodgers the next? Can you do that and have those 2 guys be able to kind of dictate their own terms and win you 4 games with a defense that's better than they were last year, but I don't think we believe they're going to be a great defense this year.
Well, Jared, honestly, this is why it's so important to break things down into, obviously you want to win the Super Bowl, right? But,
sure.
You got to set goals going towards that. And you don't want to get in a situation where you got to go on the road 3-4 times. So you know what you do? You set your first goal, win the division. So that way you can host a game, and then you don't have to, I think that's the best way to do it. And a lot of teams, they break it down even further where they break the season down into quarters, right? You got the first 4 games. Okay, let's go 4-0 this first week, and then so on and so forth. I think that's really the way to approach it. But the one thing that I do like, and this is something about the Colts also that kind of I feel what Chris Sanders is saying about being a bit troubled about the game, because whenever you have an outstanding or not even an outstanding, whenever you have just a stout defense and a rushing attack that is capable of just being force-fed to the opposing team, you have what I call a pack and play. It's just like back in the day, right? You had a kid and it was this little thing. You could just fold it up and carry it with you, and you unfold it, and you put the kid in there, and he's going or she's going to be busy. It's called pack and play. And that's what this team has. They have a pack and play style, mentality, mindset, and that, okay, look at Seattle last week. Okay, they went on the road, and having Derrick Henry, because let me tell you something. When Derrick Henry ran that touchdown, that 60-yarder, man, it was so quiet in there. It was quiet. So when you have the ability to, because that's like a knockout, like that's like a super uppercut. You know what I mean? And it just takes the whole breath, everything out of the stadium. When you have that in your pocket to pull out, that is always going to give you a chance to win on the road. And then if you could back that up with some strong defense, which they had in the second half, you're a legitimate pack and play. And that was really the formula for 2019. That year, man, nobody wanted to see that team in the playoffs. Nobody wanted to see them because they knew that because of their style of play, they were always going to be in the game. So it was really about, okay, look, we got to open it up. We got to get a lead against them so that way we could try to get them away from what it is that they like to do. So in my opinion, man, they're pack and play.
And the other thing, you brought up the defense. I was talking to Chris Sanders about this yesterday, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Because Pro Football Focus is saying, well, Bud Dupree's not getting any pressures and what. I feel Bud Dupree and I feel Danico Autry.
Yeah.
Like when I just watched the games, I saw Russell running around. Yeah. And I could tell, and we talked all offseason, how much is Autry going to help Simmons and how much is Dupree going to help Landry. And I felt Russell Wilson running around. And Pro Football Focus can tell me whatever they want to tell me. There is a noticeable difference with those two guys on the field.
Yeah, I think it was Pro Football Focus. They also told you that Christian Fulton didn't have a really good game.
Oh,
listen, and you know why? Awesome. Because they put that touchdown on Christian Fulton. Look.
Which one?
Take the
Swain broken
the Swain
down
one. The Swain
one.
They put that on
goodness.
Fulton. Right, so that ended up hurting his rating. But I mean, last time I checked, Metcalf was targeted 5 times and caught 1, and I think it was like 8 yards. So take it for what it's worth. Everybody,
Metcalf should have been kicked out of the game.
Yeah, because Fulton was getting in his head. I mean, he got multiple holds, personal foul. Yeah, but I mean, as far as after all that, I forgot the whole.
Dupree and Autry.
Oh, Dupree. Yeah. So that was good that you said that. As far as like being able to feel Autry, being able to feel Bud Dupree. That's an excellent point, and it goes to show it's not just sacks that you use to grade a pass rusher. You know what I mean? And when you look at Dupree, if you look at that sack that Autry had, I think it was a combo when Autry and Simmons. That bull rush that he had is what made Russell Wilson have to step up, and it was right there for Autry and Simmons to get the sack. So absolutely, that's definitely something that you are starting to feel. And then remember, Dupree's not even 100%. Like he could tell us that guy's not 100%. Like there's still more distance that he has to put himself away from that knee injury. So when you look at him and just what he's able to do coming off that edge, it's definitely going to help everybody.
TD's with us, the TD Power Hour presented by Freedom Tire Guys and Crane Works and Rental Works. We'll get TD's thoughts on the Colts coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on Wentz, Eason, now Hundley, but also Jonathan Taylor and that Indianapolis defense. We'll do that coming up next. Are you struggling to find and retain good employees? We can help. Cromwell Media invites you to attend one of our 2 free recruitment and retention seminars hosted by Chris Stonick on October 5th or 6th. For the past 33 years, he has helped hundreds of companies find newer, more cost-efficient ways to recruit qualified employees. Learning a new recruitment strategy, enjoy a continental breakfast, and be eligible to win door prizes. Go to theGameNashville.com/register for more info and to sign up. TD's with us. It's Stillman & Company on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Titans, Colts. Division rivals renew acquaintances in Week 3 at Nissan Stadium. Tune in Sunday at 9:30 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard, live from Rock Bottom Brewery and Restaurant on Broadway. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's soccer season in Tennessee. You want goals?
He takes it inside, outside, right foot. Great finish! What a goal!
You want saves?
Lifted high, into the hands of Joe Willis. He makes the catch.
You want big drama?
Hooked in and headed in. Delirium! It's Yonder Cadiz!
Nashville SC are back at home Wednesday, September 29th versus Orlando City SC. The action kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
How'd you like that?
Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Call today, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. I play at BetUS, and so should you. BetUS.com.
Use code GAME for a sign-up bonus.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use only. Down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Your home value is way up this year, and with mortgage rates back to all-time lows, it's a great time to call Loan Pronto. Refinance now and get cash out of your home's equity. Hey, it's Willie Donick. Loan Pronto can refinance your loan at a super low rate. They can pay the closing costs for you and get you a bunch of cash out. How does $40,000 or $50,000 sound? Don't just sit on that home's new value. Use it. Use it to pay off credit cards. Use it to consolidate other debt. Get rid of PMI. Use IT to make your home even more valuable with that home improvement project you've been dreaming about. Loan Pronto's all-digital platform makes it fast and easy. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Ask about the Loan Pronto zero-cost cash-out refi. LoanPronto.com, 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Zero cost option not available on all loans.
Sunday afternoon.
He scored!
NHL preseason action begins when the Nashville Predators visit the Florida Panthers for a doubleheader. Coverage begins at 12:30
on ESPN,
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is John Hines, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Sharon Davenport with us. The TD Power Hour is presented by Freedom Tire Guys online, freedomtireguys.com, and by Craneworks and Rental Works, your source for crane and rental equipment. Visit craneworks.com. TD, what do you think about the Colts, given the fact that Carson Wentz has not practiced these 2 days? That high ankle sprain sounds pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it's early in the season. Jacob Eason, their backup, is not taking the starters reps. Brett Hundley on the practice squad is. What do we make about the Colts? First the quarterbacks, then the rest of the team that most people think is pretty good.
Yeah, and a high ankle sprain, that's not something that you typically just bounce back from in 1 week like that.
It feels like you broke your ankle.
Right. And when you get that, and then I hate to laugh, but when you look at the injury report, it says ankles, like plural. Like, that's just bad, man. It's a darn shame that Wentz has kind of been cursed by the injury bug. But with both ankles being bad, and this is a guy that at times, is able to extend plays and move within the pocket and do those type of things to get those big plays down the field, that's taken away from him. And it's almost to the point where you want to force him to get on the move, and see just how he's going to be able to operate on those bad ankles if he does play. Now, as far as Jacob Eason is concerned, if he makes his first start, look, Shane Bowen, you better focus on giving him one pitcher before the snap and a completely different pitcher post-snap. As far as rolling coverages and doing those type of things, this is a guy that will turn the football over if you're able to confuse him. So that's something that I would do there. And Brett Hundley, I mean, if he plays, then look, Jonathan Taylor better be ready to carry the ball 40, 45 times. That's pretty much, in my opinion, their only chance to win that rushing attack. Goes back to what we said about the pack and play, right? The strong running game and the strong defense. Jonathan Taylor is a certified workhorse, so you could give him the football. But other than that, with those guys they got throwing at quarterback, that team is extremely limited.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me, I told the story earlier today of a playoff game 15 years ago where the Titans went on the road to Baltimore. Jamal Lewis had run for 2,000 yards, but they had Anthony Wright at quarterback. And the Titans, had a great run defense then with Haynesworth and Kearse and Carter. Mm-hmm. But they just load the box, said, okay, Jamal Lewis is not going to beat us. And I can't imagine, and I know that Quentin Nelson and those are some bad boys on the Indy offensive line. But, I think Autry and Simmons know exactly what they're getting themselves into. And I think guys like Rashawn Evans and Jayon Brown and David Long Jr., Like, I think that Vrabel's going to tell the front seven, hey, you guys got Jonathan Taylor because that's the one guy that could take over this game and keep the Titans from winning if really any of those quarterbacks play, given Wentz's injury and his inability to move around.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Jonathan Taylor is the key to everything for them. And Nyheim Hines, we got to put him in there too because he's a guy that has killed the Titans. You go back to that game where they won here last season. I mean, it was Nyheim Hines was murdering them. You know what I mean? Catching the ball out of the backfield and running the football. So those two, they give them a fair shot. But, again, after that, it's just hard to see anything else playing in their favor. Obviously, the offensive line, right, with Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly. Braden Smith didn't practice, you know, so we'll see what happens there. But those two right there with Jonathan Taylor, that's always going to give you a shot.
What do you think, though, like last week on Sunday when we found out Taylor Lewan wasn't playing and Jayon Brown wasn't playing, I mean, we looked at, oh, my God, how are the Titans going to be able to beat Russell Wilson in Seattle? And the NFL has a way of humbling you very quickly. Mm-hmm. And I do wonder as far as Indianapolis's ability to compete with the Titans, given the limitations it feels like they'll have on offense this week.
Yeah, I don't – it's tough for me to see how they are going to be able to compete, just keeping it real with you. Obviously, it's a divisional game. Again, this is a physical football team, but I just don't think they're in a good mode to be able to compete with the Titans. But this is a team that's 0-2. They understand 0-3 would be almost murderous to their chances to win the division. So guarantee you they're going to come out, and they're going to play as physically as possible. And that's something to expect. But at the same time, that's almost like inviting the Titans to fight the way that they want to fight. So for me, I don't really – and I'm not going to say there's not a chance, but I think this game is one that the Titans really should win. And this is one of the ones where you know how everybody says, like, hey, man, nobody respects the Titans, man. Like, national level, they're always dissing the Titans. Well, I'll tell you why. A lot of times, these are the type of games that they lose. The Arizona game, right? Oh, nobody's respecting the Titans, man. Everybody's dissing the Titans. Then they go out and lose to the Cardinals at home in the season opener the way that they did. These are some of the reasons why people on a national scale just kind of overlook the Titans. And I think a win, like a convincing win, like what they should be able to do on Sunday, that will go a long way in changing that whole narrative.
Am I crazy? I said this the other day. I think this is the flip-flop version of the game against the Colts 3 years ago at the end of the season when Blaine Gabbert had to start at quarterback.
Yeah.
And it was like, look, if Derrick Henry runs Indianapolis out of the building, then maybe they've got a chance. But that Indy team with Andrew Luck at quarterback, and they were red hot, and they were good. And they came in here, and the Titans put up a fight. Jayon Brown had a pick six, and
he tried. Yeah.
But ultimately, they were never with Blaine Gabbert at quarterback going to compete with Indianapolis that day. I think this is the opposite. Like, I look at Indianapolis, and that's how I feel about this game on Sunday.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It is the opposite of it because, with Gabbert, you were obviously limited with what you could do offensively, and I think with Eason and with Hundley, you're limited. And even, a Wentz that goes out there and tries to play, you're very limited. And one of the other things, right, because earlier we talked about, I mentioned the drills carrying over to practice. Well, in ball security today, one of the things that the D-line was going over was just like extending and kind of like running that hoop, but stretching and reaching to knock the ball out of the quarterback's hands. One thing that Carson Wentz has worked on throughout his career was better securing the football in the pocket. And it's what he called the two-handed monster, right? He had to work on keeping two hands on the football. It's no coincidence that they're working on stripping the football. And that's just an example of what I say, when I say these guys are good coaches. Terrell Williams is a very good coach. And a lot of times in these practices, what we see, because I try to go over there and really, I try to listen to what it is that they're saying. And you'll hear them, saying, okay, well, this week so-and-so likes to do this, so we're going to work on this. That's where I say these guys are good coaches.
Well, and who probably knows Carson Wentz's issues holding on to the football? Jim Schwartz.
Yeah.
And I think that there's probably that's kind of an element we haven't discussed about, if Wentz does play. Get your questions in for TD. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We're right to your Titans questions for TD. Teron Davenport is with us. The TD Power Hour right here, Stillman and Company. We're delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Lots of sunshine this afternoon and for the rest of the week. Highs back into the upper 60s and lower 70s. No storms in sight.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible. With innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
In the concert event of a lifetime, come experience the dynamic energy of one of the most accomplished musicians of our time, Carlos Santana. Blessings and Miracles Tour 2021. This Wednesday, First Bank Amphitheater. Take a trip through the hits from Woodstock to Supernatural and a backwards flip into the unknown. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com.
Bob's Steak and Chop House is a renowned award-winning steakhouse in major cities across the U.S. Nashville is lucky to have a location here in downtown at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Fine dining is brought to a new level at Bob's with awards like the Wine Spectator Award 4 years in a row, TripAdvisor Certificate of Excellence 5 years in a row, and Open Tables Diner's Choice Award 6 years in a row. Fine dining at its best. Bob's Steak and Chop House, open Wednesday through Saturday, 5 to 10 p.m. in the Omni Nashville Hotel. Complimentary valet parking is always available.
It's football season, and Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is here to serve you. Right now, they're running a tune-up special for one system for only $55. You heard that right. A great tune-up special for only $55. One of the many ways you can save at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. You get 6 months no-interest financing available on repairs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, locally owned and operated, offering premium service without the premium price. Visit springhillac.com or call them at 615-778-8855.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and let me tell you about my friends at Curation CBD. If you're like me and have aches and pains all over your body and you've been searching for a solution, well, I've got it. It's Curation CBD. Curation means healing, and that right there says it all. Curation is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here from Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Curation is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use for athletes and for pets, too. Order yours now at CurationCompany.com. Curation CBD, curated for life.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey is the official whiskey of the NFL pregame broadcast on ESPN 1025 The Game. Screwball is the original and most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the world. Made with real whiskey, peanuts, and peanut butter, Screwball is all natural flavor to be enjoyed as a straight shot, in an espresso martini, peanut butter old fashioned, or a PB&J shot with a berry liqueur. Check out screwballwhiskey.com/recipes for more. Be sure and ask for Screwball by name at your favorite watering hole in Nashville.
Enjoy responsibly. 2021 Screwball Spirits LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Darren McFarland.
And a mulligan that we all look for in golf. Lord knows our game could use it.
Willie Donick.
Outworked and outperformed a lot of other really good players.
Chase McCabe.
I want some sort of trade protection.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curation CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
TD is with us for the TD Power Hour. Teron Davenport, presented by Freedom Tire Guys, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, online at freedomtireguys.com, and by Craneworks and Rentalworks, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit craneworks.com. Enough of me talking. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. I lied there. One more thing. How many of the texts in the text line are saying, "Get him, TD! Get him, TD"?
Most of them.
Okay.
Yep.
I was figuring that was most of the text.
Overwhelming majority of the texts from the past hour. And also
whatsoever.
tweets into the 1025 The Game Twitter account are very pro-TD.
Hey,
Those are not presented by.
I'm a man of the people. I got to give them what they want.
Let's go right to the people here, Caroline.
Ben texts in and asks TD, what kind of trades can we facilitate midseason to take care of some of these issues that will not resolve themselves otherwise? Because even with the expected improvements as the season goes on, this team is not going to win the Super Bowl as is.
Well, I guess you could look at a Zach Ertz trade. Like, that's something to still consider. Although, man, we didn't really get into it, but Michael Pruitt, that dude was a tone setter. He had that pancake. He drove Jamal Adams into the ground, and then he caught the pass and drew the personal foul, and then he caught another one on Jamal Adams. Like, he was a tone setter. So I want to see how that continues to develop because we haven't gotten to see Ferkser in practice the last 2 days, so not sure what goes there. So the thing that pops into my mind immediately would be the tight end position, a Zach Ertz type. I could say that would be a trade that would help, but overall, I mean, for the most part, you don't really see too many mid-season trades that are the ones that just like put a team immediately over the hump.
The one thing I would say I do want to keep an eye on is when Sam Ficken returns. I do wonder because we saw when we were in Tampa, TD, he was kicking the crap out of the ball. And if they can go from what they've been kicking to a guy that that you feel comfortable on 48 yards can get out there and drill it, that may make a big difference for this team.
Yeah.
The Canadian Titan texts in and asks TD, Derrick Henry is coming off of his best game as a Titan, in my opinion, particularly with the catches and his pass protection. Does this mean it's likely that the Titans will use him more on passing downs, or is McNichols still going to be that guy on 3rd and 5 or more?
That is an excellent question, and I asked Ryan Tannehill about that. Just like, is Sunday's performance a reason to kind of see spinning forward more opportunities for him? And he kind of quieted it down. He said there were 2 screens, but he also, that's when he got into just talking about how the coverage was sinking, and it was just pretty much what was available to him. So I think it still should mean opportunities for Derrick Henry. I mean, me personally, like, I would never want to take that guy off the field, you know. So if you could get some type of contribution from him on pass pro, you know, 3rd downs and catching the football and not be so predictable, I would keep him out there a little bit more. But you look at that 3rd and 18, right? Tannehill hit Julio Jones for a 15-yard gain, and then they had McNichols coming to the game, and that's a critical play, right? It was do or die, literally right there. 4th and 3, and they were able to get that 1st down. But that one right there, I think, is really telling of what is going to be spinning forward. I personally, like I said, would get him more involved in the 3rd down situation.
You know what I was thinking about, though, when we were talking about Derrick Henry and pass pro earlier, TD?
What's that?
And I know they're not going to play Jamal Adams every week, but some of those blocks that he had of Adams in pass protection, those are harder hits than he takes when he's carrying the football.
Amen.
And I do wonder if you're Mike Vrabel, if you say, you know, you want Henry out there, you know, on some of these 3rd and 8s where maybe he can help you catching the football, but also McNichols can help you too. But do you want Derrick Henry taking that hit from a blitzing linebacker? Would have to be something that would be in the back of his mind.
Yeah, I think end of the day, you just got to kind of just mix it in. I think he's definitely earned himself more opportunities, though.
Oh, sure, especially like 3rd and 3, where like it's normally a passing down, but I could run Derrick Henry, the best back in the NFL, on 3rd and 3. That I think is going to be interesting where they go forward with that.
Yeah.
Dylan texts in and says, I believe if AJ didn't have those drops, he would have had 100 yards last week. Do we have a good chance to see 2 100-yard receivers and 1 100-yard rusher this weekend?
That's a good question. You're going to see a 100-yard rusher. I would almost put money on that. Matter of fact, that's what I wrote about for this morning. You know, Derrick Henry. The Colts in 3 years have given up 100 yards or more rushing 3 times. Guess what? Derrick Debo Henry has all 3 of them. So I would imagine they're going to do that some more. But at the same time, with them selling out to stop the run, and that's actually, I drew it up on Whiteboard Wednesday, them stacking the box and how they can run against it, but you could also play action off of that. I don't know if Xavier Rhodes is playing. So if Xavier Rhodes doesn't play, I talked to Mike Wells for talking with TD, and he was like, if TJ Carey starts, you know, Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, they need to be doing rock, paper, scissors, shoot to see who gets to go against them, because that's a matchup that you would want 9 times out of 10 as a Titans receiver. So I could see that happening. I mean, if they're able to – because this is one of those games where I feel like if they're able to get up on a lead, they're not going to scale back. They're going to keep loading and loading and loading, because this is a statement game, right? If they're able to win like a 42-7 type score, they're going to do it. So I could definitely see that happening.
Especially putting the Colts at 0-3.
Exactly.
I mean, there was a handful of years ago, the Titans and the Ravens were in the same division, and the Titans started off 0-3, and the third game was at Baltimore. And I can just remember the fans chanting 0-3, and that you could feel like, okay, you're not, you know, competing at that level. And that's something I think that the Titans would love to send home to Indianapolis.
No doubt.
Andrew from Dover asks, TD, in your opinion, what do you think Henry needs to do to be considered an all-time great? A discussion that we've had throughout the week.
Honestly, keep doing what he's doing. I mean, because if you look at it, like if you think about it right now, since what, week 8? Or you can even go back to 2018. You know, since he went to see the Wizard, right, and talk to Eddie George. Like, since that point on to now, I mean, can you tell me a back that's better?
How many football players can you tell me that are better?
Right. You look at 2019, right, and the playoffs, right? They had Patrick Mahomes, they had Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers. They had Derrick Henry up there. You know what I mean? Like he was up there with the quarterbacks. And then you look at the 2,000-yard season. I mean, quietly, that was what, the 5th best season in the history of the NFL. Fifth best season. So I think all he has to do is keep doing what he's been doing. And for me, like, a Hall of Famer is a guy that you can say, like, look, this guy when he was playing was clearly the best ever. And if it wasn't him, it might have been this guy, but it was really this guy. And I think over these last, 2.5 years, you could say that specifically about Derrick Henry.
I think, too, like we were talking about this in the media notes, you'll see they'll have each player, what they can accomplish. And like Kevin Byard, it's, if he gets 2 or 3 more interceptions, he ties Michael Griffin, in the franchise mark. And then you get to Derrick Henry, and it's like, can be the first running back ever to do this. Can be the first running back since Steve Van Buren in 1947 to do this. Can join O.J. Simpson, Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, Terrell Davis, and LaDainian Tomlinson with it. It's like, yeah. And those are all-time greats.
You know what's so crazy about that? Like, how many times you're mentioning Derrick Henry with Eric Dickerson. I loved Eric Dickerson, by the way. With Barry Sanders, with Walter Payton, whoever. And Mike Vrabel's still like, oh, well, that's just what Derrick does. Ryan Tannehill, that's just what he does. That is just crazy to me that, a guy is doing things along the lines of an LT, along the lines of these guys, and it's still like, oh, what? I mean, he's just doing this thing. That's what he does.
That's yesterday. Tannehill was asked if he's ever in awe of Derrick Henry. He's like, no,
Right.
Just, I'm like, hey, Ryan, I'll ship you back to Miami, and then you tell me if it's different that way.
Yeah.
Adam is up next here on with TD on the TD Power Hour. Thank you for calling. Thank you for waiting. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, I kind of jumped in late, but TD, I know you're a big Elijah Molden guy. I've heard you talk about it for months.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a tough day. He got a couple of really crazy plays that he was involved in. I was curious if you think that's going to change his reps. Like, is he going to get more exposure? Are they going to slow him down because they're like, oh my God, he can make plays like that? So I don't know. I still really like him, but I've seen some vulnerable moments from him for sure.
Absolutely, and that's a great point, Adam. And there have been some vulnerable moments. I like what Shane Bowen said just about him understanding how he matches up against particular guys, but also understanding where his help was. And if you go back and you look at that Tyler Lockett touchdown to Jarrett, you pointed this out earlier this week. He kind of panicked, and he ended up tripping up the other defender, and then that's how Lockett got even more open. In my opinion, right, when you get beat like that, if you understand that your help is there over top, you're not going to panic the same because your brother got your back over top of you. That's a part of understanding where your help is. And one thing about playing that nickel position is you really have to have a thorough understanding of space, of the scheme, and where everybody is so not necessarily that you could mess up, but you know that you have a little bit of leeway in order for things to happen because someone else is going to have your back. And I think that's really what it comes down to. Obviously, when you look at the other play, the Christian Kirk touchdown, hey, I mean, look, the dude just made a play. It was a good play that he made, and that's just the way it works. But I think with time, he's going to get a better feel for all of that. And, I mean, you're going to have your mistakes as a rookie, right? You're going to have your bumps as a rookie, just as a veteran, period. And that's one of the things that Jack Rabbit Jenkins said. You got to understand that it's one play and not a full game. And I think that was an excellent point when he was asked about what he would say to Elijah Molden.
And I think the only way Molden gets better is by playing.
Exactly.
I mean, and I think you do that with rookies. You put a rookie at tackle, it's going to happen. You just hope he doesn't get your quarterback killed. Yeah. It's just, that's the reality of the position. TD, who's on Talking with TD this week? You said Mike Wells previewing the Colts game. What else we got?
Yeah, we're pretty much cruising in season, right? Every week we want to have the ESPN NFL Nation reporter of the team that the Titans are playing. So Mike Wells, and we got Chris Sanders, of course, Run TMC. We'll keep that thing moving, and that's pretty much how the show works.
Talking with TD. TD, we'll talk to you on Sunday for the pregame show. As always, appreciate you, TD.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you both.
Yep, TD, national radio star, kind enough to do an hour with us on Thursdays for the TD Power Hour. Coming up next, Trevor Maddich. Trevor said something that I love Trevor.
I love Trevor.
You would know this. Chris Sanders, TD, Trevor, Corey Curtis. Sometimes we disagree.
Oh, is that so?
Trevor said something that we need to discuss. We'll do that coming up next here on Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game. TriStar Moving. Those are my official movers. If you're looking to move, and maybe you've got a company you like, maybe you don't, TriStar Moving should be on your list. Get a bid from my friends at TriStar Moving. When I moved, I didn't have a moving company that I loved one way or another. I went with TriStar Moving, and I am so thankful I did. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, are true Nashvillians at TriStar Moving, and they are dedicated to making sure that you get 5-star service throughout the entire process. They offer home protection, covering your floors, banisters, railings, door jambs, even the doors themselves. And they are always upping the game when it comes to mover training. This company, TriStar Moving, is on the rise. I saw a TriStar Moving truck just yesterday driving around the street, and I remember how they started off so small. They are blowing up because of the standards that Garrett and Robert hold. So if you're looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website, nashvillemoving.org/radio, where they'll give you 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you, 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
The voice of reason.
All of those question marks that we needed to see on the field, all of those things that we were worried could possibly happen, happened.
The voice of the fan.
And so now you got a situation now, man, that is very volatile, and it might get out of hand.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Want a world-class designer engagement ring but think you'll pay more for it? Not at Genesis Diamonds.
People ask all the time, am I spending more money just to get the designer name? And I can tell you unequivocally, no.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President Wendy Canavan.
What you're getting is better made jewelry, a better made engagement ring.
So at Genesis, you don't have to make or settle for a knockoff mass-produced ring. You can get a handcrafted masterpiece from designers like Tacori, Verragio, Henry Dossi, Kirk Cara, the names on every woman's wish list.
They're just better made. The people who design these rings are truly artists. They're not some backroom jeweler knocking off a ring.
And don't be fooled by people who say you will overpay.
We have beautiful engagement rings starting at $795, designer made.
Genesis Diamonds. It's easy to find the ring of her dreams without having to compromise.
You don't want people to say, oh, your ring's okay. You want people to say, wow.
Genesis Diamonds, voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring year after year. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared Stillman. Guys, are you tired of feeling old? You know that feeling. You don't have any energy. You're gaining pounds. Well, guess what? My friends at Invigorate Health are the ones to help you. They don't just focus on one area of the aging body. They take care of all of it with so many different therapies that can restore your vitality and are designed with you specifically in mind. So give them a try. Invigorate Health, if you want to feel young again. Out in Mount Juliet at 615-288-4777 or invigoratehealthtn.com.
In college football, Goodyear knows a new season means new possibilities, where every Saturday is an opportunity on the road to greatness. No matter if you're out there playing your hardest or cheering the loudest from the sidelines, tailgating in the parking lot, or your favorite spot to watch the game, Goodyear knows passion is what drives us forward all the way to the playoffs. That's the road that moves us. Goodyear, more driven.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman. On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Tennessee, Florida on Saturday. It's weird, right? Like, my birthday is on Saturday. And this
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. This is like, the 30th time that this game has been around my birthday. They put it at the end of the season last year, and it was at the end of the season in 2001 because of 9/11.
So almost every time.
So almost every time it's right around my birthday, and yet I never put it together. Like, I remember when we had the great Jared and the GM party a couple years ago, and the next day the Vols were playing in the Swamp against the Gators. And this used to be when I was a kid, Caroline, and I know that, trying to think of the right word. I don't want to say trapped around UT Vol fans, but you are surrounded. But when I say surrounded, I mean kind of like that end scene of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Like, where you're just,
completely engulfed in flames.
Yes.
Completely
yes. Engulfed. The closest people that I have in my life are all not just Tennessee fans, but diehard.
Everybody that Caroline says, love you too, is a Tennessee Vol fan.
A diehard Tennessee Vol fan.
Except maybe your sister.
She went to South Carolina.
Okay.
And she could care less about anything football.
So that's the one person.
Yes.
Everybody else loves the Vols.
Yes.
This game has not been what it used to be for 10 years. I mean, this game used to be the game.
I mean, it has been fun. What was that, 2016?
The duck push a truck or whatever? Yeah.
It's been fun. I would say consistently fun every single year. No, but there have been some very fun Tennessee-Florida matchups over the past few years.
So I remember earlier during the offseason when I said there's just no excitement for UT Vol football. And Joe Rexrode was like, well, you wait till later in camp and there'll be some excitement for Vol football, and you'll see there'll be some excitement for Vol football, where Joe was wrong again. And Robbie Stanley said, well, if they're 3-0 going to Florida, then I could see the excitement. I'm not even sure a win over Pittsburgh would have the Vol football excitement going into this Florida game, because I think Vol fans are realistic. We saw Florida last weekend almost beat Alabama. If that game had started 20 minutes later, there's a chance that Alabama probably loses to Florida the way that game felt. Nick Saban didn't want to put his defense back on the field in the second half, which is crazy to think about. And yet, I'm not sure I feel like the Vols have much of a chance to win. So Trevor Maddich was on our show, ESPN college football analyst. And I asked Trevor, and I love Trevor, but am I the only one that feels like sometimes Trevor fires off some lollipops and bubble gum and sunshine every now and then?
He's very optimistic. Glass half full, and I love that mentality.
I asked Trevor what a moral victory on Saturday would be for the Vols, and he took it a step further. Here's what Trevor said.
Well, I mean, if they play them within 7 to 10 points, I think that would be something that Volunteer fans would be happy about. But they do have a chance to win this game. Keep in mind that anytime you play Bama, even though Bama's struggling like we've talked about in different places, they still are a physical team. And that was a very physical, emotional, hard-fought game. And because of that, Tennessee will be a whole lot more fresh, especially coming off that Tennessee Tech opponent. And all they need to do in order to have a chance in this game is hit the open receivers down the field more often than not. That's been the big flaw in this offense. They've had guys open down the field. They hit them once in a while, and it's exciting. But neither Hooker nor Milton has been consistent in hitting those deep passes, and that's got to be the frustrating thing for the coaches because they practiced all week. They game planned. They got guys open. There he is. The play's going on. He's down the field. He's right there. He's open, and we miss him, right? And so that's the big difference in Tennessee right now, and that's the big question mark as they play Florida. Will they be more accurate in hitting those guys down the field? Because Florida will give them some opportunities early because Florida, I think, is going to come up and try to stop the run first and make them prove they can throw deep. And if they can, then all of a sudden this might be more of a game than Florida fans want it to be.
Okay. Couple of things there. First off, the idea that your team is going to be able to do things that they weren't able to do against Bowling Green, against Florida, is probably a little reckless. Secondly, he said 7 to 10 points would be a moral victory. I'm okay with that.
I would agree.
Okay.
Yes.
But then he talks about, but they actually could win the game. Outside of anybody can beat anybody on any given day, outside of that, do Tennessee fans have any hope they can win this game? Or is Trevor just being Trevor?
I think that there is optimism, but I think that if you're going to call the Tennessee fans sober Tennessee fans, realistic Tennessee fans, I think they know what they're looking at. And I think that sober Tennessee fans can hope for, like Trevor said, maybe keep it between like a touchdown game. Because I think that this Tennessee offense has the ability to be dangerous. Because, Josh, if Joe Milton can find accuracy, it has the ability to be dangerous. But he can't. Don't look at me like that.
I'm just looking at you like dangerous.
If Joe Milton can hit those receivers on his deep balls, that's a touchdown every single time. But he can't. So that's the problem.
So the one thing we have to say about ifs, the one thing we have to say about ifs in sports is the ifs have to be somewhat realistic, right? So, like, if Carson Wentz can stay healthy, well, he never does. So at some point, you have to stop banking on if. Doug Peterson banked on if he could stay healthy and got him fired. Now Frank Reich and Chris Ballard are doing the same thing, banking on if. Joe Milton can't hit a wide-open receiver by 30 yards in a Bowling Green game. You think he's going to – you know that those guys aren't going to be that open against Florida, right?
I'm not saying that they are going to be.
He's not going to hit those guys. That's why he's not going to play this week. It's going to be Hooker.
I'm not saying that that's...
It should be Hooker
I think it should be Hooker, and I think... I was talking to some Tennessee fans saying, oh, yeah, Hendon Hooker sucked this past game.
One of the ones that you say I love you to or no?
Yeah, one of them, and then another one, no. But he's great. We love him as well.
Okay.
But they were saying, oh, yeah, Hooker sucked this past game. I didn't think so.
I'm going to be honest with everybody.
I didn't think it was a terrible game.
Ian, did you watch his past game?
No, there's no way I could watch that game.
I did not watch 1 second of the Tennessee Tech game.
No way.
I don't, as a talk show host in this town, I do not,
huge waste of time.
Every now and then.
Then how can you say that Hendon Hooker should be starting?
Because I watched Pittsburgh game. So as a talk show host in this town, there's sometimes, like, I'm going to be real with you, the Predators will play like a 10:30 game at Calgary, and it's during football season, and like, there's a chance I went to bed the night before. Like, there's a chance. I DVR all the games so I can catch up and watch it.
Yeah.
I did not watch this game. And I have no shame in telling you that I'm saying Alabama is playing Florida. And I don't even know what channel the Vols were on last week.
I want to say it was SEC Network.
I think
Alabama was playing.
I think it was Plus. SEC Network Plus.
It may have been.
Yeah.
Because I did watch every second of that game.
Of the Tennessee game?
Yes.
Why?
Why do you think?
Yeah, but like at some point, like, isn't there, It's like there are big things in a relationship. If one person is just, wants to be, believes, for example, I'm Jewish.
Yes.
So if somebody in a relationship, is very, Christian and can't see the idea of like raising children with somebody, or Catholic, and can't see the idea of like raising children with a Jewish person,
then that's
it's
probably
not
a
going to work.
problem. Right.
And if somebody is making me watch Tennessee versus Tennessee Tech on a Saturday, that Alabama is playing Florida,
I don't think that those are the same thing. I think that that's maybe a little bit dramatic. I think that putting for some people, Tennessee football may be religion, but
that's unfortunate.
That was just one risk
40,
that I was
40
willing
years,
to make for
Moses,
my relationship.
It's like Moses for 40 years in the desert, like the ball fans where they are right now. I had no interest in watching that game. I will say this. You can if me all you want. Hendon Hooker is not good enough to go in the swamp and beat that team that we watched last week, almost beat Alabama, and neither is Joe Milton.
I don't think that this Tennessee team is good enough to go into the swamp and beat Florida. I do think that they're good enough to keep it between a 7 to 10 point game. But there are also ifs. If Tennessee can stop the run, because they haven't seen a team so far this year that can run like Florida can run, both with their running backs and with their quarterback. If they can stop the run, they can keep it close. If they can get the run going themselves, they can keep it close. If, by the grace of God, a Tennessee quarterback can find a receiver and put the ball in their hands, then they can keep the game close. But those are all ifs, and those are all kind of big ifs.
If they switch jerseys before the game, and Florida players wear Tennessee jerseys and Tennessee players wear Florida jerseys, then I think they have a chance.
Well, I don't think that that's going to happen. That sounds like an even bigger if than stopping the run.
That's how I feel about all the ifs that you just presented to me.
Oh, well, I'm not saying that Tennessee's going to go in the swamp and get a win, but I'm saying
Alabama cannot do the ifs that you're talking about.
You cannot tell me anything about Tennessee football if you did not watch the game last weekend.
Why?
Because you did not watch the game.
It was Tennessee Tech.
And? So don't comment on them.
So that would be like saying, well, you know what? You didn't watch batting practice today, so you can't comment on, Jose going up there to bat. Because that's what that was practice on Saturday.
You didn't watch him in batting practice, so you don't get to comment.
No, I think I do.
You have no right.
I think I do.
Nope, judge rules.
Nope,
you have no comment.
I think if the show is called Stillman & Company, that we're going to make the rule. Nope, don't have to watch a Tennessee Tech game. Oh, my God, Tennessee Tech.
It was a thrilling game.
So is Ian not allowed to comment on the game either?
No, Ian can do whatever he wants.
Oh, but he didn't watch Tennessee Tech game.
But he can say whatever he
Oh,
wants.
okay. Now see, that is biased.
It's Ian and Company now.
And you know what? That's why. See, that's why the Jared versus Joe is rigged. Just so everybody knows, that's a perfect
Or
example.
Maybe Joe just has better point. Maybe Joe understands that $500,000 for Tennessee football is a drop in the bucket, and that isn't even.
You think Joe watched?
Reason.
You think Joe watched the Tennessee Tech game?
I'm sure he did.
All right.
It's also like his job to write about it.
2 questions for the callers. 615-737-1025 calls and texts. 2 questions. First question. Did you watch the Tennessee Tech game this weekend? Second question. Do you think the Vols can actually win like Trevor said? If. We'll get to that next. The other thing I want to get to, the one serious element of this game with Florida, or of the rivalry with Josh Heupel in it. We'll get to that coming up next here on Stillman and Company. Let me tell all the fine folks out there right here on ESPN 1025 The Game. Let me tell everybody that join us in partnering with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer through hope, research, and support for patients and families through this inspirational nationwide movement. We raise awareness and funding for groundbreaking research and treatment options to eliminate cancer. Nashville's Light the Night will be virtual and take place on November 4th. Learn more at lightthenight.org/TN.
October 14th.
Toward the net, the back end of the score. Predators break out in front.
The Nashville Predators' regular season begins when they host the Seattle Kraken.
And the Predators win it overtime.
And your only home for every moment of the action is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible. With innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Cast iron. Lift that cast iron. You're doing good.
Hey, hon. Sweetie.
Yeah, hon.
I need to make dinner. I need that pan.
You can't always do home workouts how you'd want, but now you can sip what you want. Heineken 0.0. It tastes great, only has 69 calories, and absolutely zero alcohol.
Well, here, lift these. 2 Heineken 0.0s.
Oh, right. Dumbbells I can drink. Sip. Zero.
Must be 21 plus to purchase. Enjoy responsibly.
Hey, mortgage rates have taken a nosedive, back to the lowest in history. Don't miss your chance to lock in a lower house payment with Loan Pronto now. Hey, it's Willie Donna. Call Loan Pronto today and take advantage of their super popular zero-cost refi program. You can get a rate with an APR in the low 2s with no junk fees and no closing costs. Yes, they pay your closing costs. Who else does this? Loan Pronto's all-digital process is fast and easy. Virtually no paperwork required, and most loans get closed in 14 days. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Think about that little bonus. Call Loan Pronto now and start the process before rates spike again. Get your forever loan today. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. If your current mortgage rate starts with a 3, you need to act now. 615-499-5780, loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans eligible for zero-cost option.
Want to look like $1 million but only spend a handful of bucks? Upgrade to Dollar Shave Club with the Ultimate Shave Starter Set for only $5. Get a 6-blade razor, prep scrub, shave butter, and post-shave dew for a noticeably smooth shave. Plus free shipping. Razors can be expensive, so don't spend all that money for a mediocre shave. Dollar Shave Club. It's what dreams are shaved of. After the starter set, razors ship at a regular price. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/gojo. That's dollarshaveclub.com/gojo. Welcome to the club.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Florida had that close loss against Alabama. What are some of the things that stand out to you about the challenge they present?
Well, I think they're well coached in all 3 phases of the game. They make you beat them. Obviously, their ability to run the football on offense is a huge part. Top 5 in the country in rush offense. Defensively, I thought they were physical, tied in all 3 levels together throughout the course of the day. Defensive line was very disruptive. Special teams, they do a really good job as well. So they make you beat them. And, just watching the game from the other day, obviously have an opportunity, 2-point play at the end to tie it up. It's a really good football team. Our guys are excited about that challenge.
There you go. That was Josh Heupel, really, really excited about the challenge of taking on Florida in the swamp.
That in a nutshell was, defense, really good. Offense, really good. Special teams also really good. Okay, Josh, thanks for that.
Dude, I remember when
They're good on every aspect of the ball.
I remember when I first got into this business, I covered the Boston sports, which was no college. Like, nobody in Boston cares about college.
No.
So it was all pro sports. And in pro sports, there's a lot of coach talk. But for the most part, especially outside of football, like, a lot of these guys are kind of doing their own thing. Mm-hmm. So like in baseball, it's not so much, how do you feel about the team? It's more so like, how do you feel about how you pitched?
Right.
So you can talk more like, yeah, my slider just was awful today. And hockey's kind of same way. Like, he gave up 4 goals. What did you feel? Oh, yeah, I stunk, whatever. Then I start covering college sports in Louisville. And Charlie Strong was the coach. Mm-hmm. And it literally was the same press conference every week.
Oh, yeah.
It was awful. It was so boring. It was terrible. So I do have this thought on Josh Heupel, which is, and I don't know what the line is this week.
I think it started at 21.5.
Holy crap.
It's dropped to 18.5.
Trevor talking about they can win. Come on now.
Good teams win. Great teams cover.
And that's all we're asking. Here's the real thing, though, with Heupel when it comes to Florida. How long until we're allowed to have, like, I was legitimately thinking in my head, is this a bad idea to talk about this game today? Because tomorrow we'll talk about it a little bit, but it'll be so much Titans and Colts because it's such a big game for the Titans. And, like, I've done this long enough in Nashville to know when the Vols are a big topic and when the Vols are not a big topic. And if there was a giant meter, with like a little needle on it, and say one side said, big topic, and the other side said not a big topic, I mean, it's definitely leaning more towards, for me, not a big topic than a big topic.
But this weekend's a big game.
I'm not even convinced that that's the case. Like, as far as right now, the interest level of the fans. Because, to your point, it's a 21.5-point game.
Yeah. Well, 18.5 now.
How long until we expect Heupel to have a team good enough to compete? Year 3? Year 4? Year 5? Because I don't think Florida's going anywhere. I mean, I saw people bagging on Florida at the start of the game on Saturday against Alabama, saying, well, they recruit the 9th best class in the country, and Alabama recruits the 1st best class, and this is the difference between the two. But that's still the 9th best class in the country, and they still have 5 of them at one time, and that's Dan Mullen coaching, and he is a good coach. So how long until Heupel has a squad that is able to compete with a Florida? Because I am kind of tired. Like, I love the Tennessee-Florida game. I love growing up as a kid. We were Vanderbilt fans. We rooted for Florida every year. I miss the interesting level of this game. And I just feel like, you know what, next year we'll be in the same spot, which is, what's Tennessee got to do to make it interesting against Florida? We'll take your calls. And then the next year, and then the next year. Like, when is it, okay, we should fairly expect Tennessee to be competing with Florida?
I think my standard for any new coach coming in is 3 years. And depending on the team, depending on the program, whatever those expectations that coach needs to reach in those 3 years are different. So let's say if Nick Saban ever retires, whenever that day may or may not come, the next coach that comes in, his 3 years are to get to a national championship. Now, Josh Heupel's expectations in 3 years are not that. That's a bit lofty for Tennessee. But I think that expectations for Tennessee's football coach coming in within 3 years should be to at least be competitive in the East, to at least be in the conversation to beat a Florida, to beat a Georgia, to potentially make a run for the SEC East, to at least be able to keep these games close. Maybe you're not going to beat Georgia every year, but you're going to keep it close. The spread is an 18.5 against Florida every year. So I give Josh Heupel 3 years to be able to at least make the Tennessee football program competitive, because he can bring in some of his recruits.
How would you define that?
Like I just said, like, you're in the conversation for the East.
3 years.
It's a realistic expectation that you could beat a Georgia, you could beat a Florida, because today the expectation is not that they're going to beat Florida at all by any means. Though? But I think in 3 years to be able to talk about Tennessee potentially beating Florida, I think should be the expectation.
So I mean, I'm going to look at Johnny Majors. I don't think Johnny Majors was doing that in year 3. Now, the world was a much more patient place back then, but I don't think he was doing that. Like,
to at least be a competitive program in 3 years. I mean,
see, that's
the
my whole point.
alternative is a losing season, and you think in 3 years that Tennessee fans are going to be okay with having losing seasons after a coach has been there for 3 years?
I'm just talking about what's fair. Like, what's actually fair. Johnny Majors at Tennessee, 4-7, 5-5-1, 7-5, 5-6, 8-4, 6-5-1, now 9-3. It took him 7 years before he got to 9 wins. And he is a legendary coach.
In the 1980s.
So?
This is different.
Because Twitter exists now?
Not because Twitter exists now, but because, well, first of all, Tennessee
remember,
fans
Twitter
are impatient.
Twitter got a coach vetoed at Tennessee.
Yeah, no, I do know that.
So that's, that is something. I am sorry. I think we've got to be realistic here. I think here's the way that I would look at it. I'm with you. I don't think they can compete for the East in 3 years, because I think that Georgia and Florida are way too far advanced. And I'd argue Kentucky right now is, with their facilities and the way that Mark Stoops is recruited. Again, each team is 5 classes, because guys red shirt and you've got the transfer portal. So I think you're looking at 5 classes worth of guys. Every time that you've got to recruit 5 times to be even with Georgia. You have to recruit like Georgia for 5 times, or you have to pull the superstar recruit. And I don't think Kentucky might slip up a little bit, but I don't think you're going to see Georgia or Florida drop out of the top 10. So you're going to have to, it's going to take like 5 years before we can say if Heupel's a good coach, he should be able to beat those teams. I think by year 4, this needs to be a 4-point spread or less by year 4.
Okay, so I think we're kind of saying the same
But
thing.
see, the difference is that when they hired Josh Heupel, and I'm not the biggest Josh Heupel fan in the world, but when they hired Josh Heupel, and with coaches, you never know. Everybody thought Scott Frost was going to be the greatest coaching hire in the history of college football at Nebraska.
We saw how that worked out.
And it's been a disaster. And nobody even gave a second look to Sam Pittman going to Arkansas. And in 2 years, he's totally changed that program. So you never know with these coaching hires.
So 3 years isn't that unrealistic?
No, I think it is. I truly think it is. I think you need to give. I thought that the day that they hired Heupel, they needed to promise him 6 years.
6 years.
Yes.
But 6 years. What is the end goal in 6 years? Winning the East? Beating Florida once in a blue moon?
I felt that this was the case with anybody that they hired, given the state of the program that it was in when they went hiring, which was you've got to go 6 years. You've got to let somebody build something. You've just got to give somebody time. Mark Stoops had time. Mark Stoops wasn't good in year 3. I covered those teams. It took Mark Stoops. They were so bad when he took that job over at Kentucky. They were horrible. Mm-hmm. They were 2-10 and lost their first game by double digits to Western Kentucky. I mean, it was awful. And so it took a lot of time for them to be what they are now, but nobody really cared. 2-10, 5-7, 5-7, 7-6, 7-6, then 10-3. It's going to take some time. Now, I don't think that the Vol fans are going to give Heupel the time to do it, but I'm thinking that realistically, I think everything in life that is worth anything comes with a price, like a legitimate price that you have to pay. And everybody would love to be the nicest person in the world and be loved by everybody and have the best team and the nicest house and the best car. But if you notice that the people that are the most successful in one thing are usually kind of a jerk in something else, it's because there's a price that you have to pay sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so to me, Tennessee fans so desperately want to have a respectable program, but it's going to take time to do it. And that's the price you have to pay, is the willingness that in year 4, if you're 4-8, of not being like, this guy stinks. And I know they're going to do it, and I know they're going to fire the coach, but I don't think that's the price that they need to pay. I think that the price you got to pay is you got to give this guy 6 years. They won't. But I think it's the price you got to pay.
But at 6 years, I go back to my initial question. What do you think they need to be at 6 years?
6 years, I think then you can say, okay, the Vols should be back.
What is back?
A nationally ranked, national contender, top of the SEC, that team that in year 6 you should say at some point you should look at a team that should be competing for the SEC.
But somewhere along the way, you don't just go from being 4-8 to being a nationally ranked team. So I think that midway point, which is what the timeline that I gave, 3 years, to not be a nationally ranked team, but to not be 4-8. To at least be a little bit competitive. You're winning your 4 out of conference games. You're within a touchdown, 3 points.
Well, you can go
Florida
6-6. That's not hard, because at 6-6, to your point, you'll get 4 out of conference games, so you win those.
Yeah.
You beat Vanderbilt, Missouri, South Carolina, 7.
Okay.
So you should be able to do that. I'm not saying if Heupel in year 3.
Well, Tennessee's not winning their out of conference games.
No, but they lose to the 1. The one that you have to.
And that's what I'm saying. Around year
team.
3, you need to be beating the Pits. You need to be competitive against Florida and Georgia.
But my point is that you can't just fire everybody because, we didn't beat this one out of conference game and we're supposed to fire the coach. You can't do that.
I'm not saying fire him.
And if you do it after 3 years, then you're just starting all over again.
Yeah, you're
resetting
that's what
the
I'm
clock.
Done with.
And I'm done with that. So I think that's the price you have to pay. And again, I'm not the biggest Heupel guy in the world. I mean, I think Heupel's done some good things, and we'll see. But I feel like that if they don't have patience, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble. We'll get to your phones on this next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. I see them piling up, so that's what we will do. 615-737-1025. FanDuel Sportsbook, my official sportsbook app. The NFL is back, and the FanDuel Sportsbook wants you to get the most out of every play. That's why they're giving everyone a $10 risk-free bet every week, and tonight with Thursday Night Football is a great opportunity to give it a try. All you have to do is bet a same-game parlay with 3 legs or more, and if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. Carolina, I would expect them to blow the doors off of Houston. So bet everything over for Carolina, and I think it'll be okay. There is no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay, so lock in your bet today on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. New to FanDuel Sportsbook? Claim your 30-1 odds on either team to win in Monday night's Philadelphia-Dallas game by signing up with the promo code JGM. And if your first bet loses, you'll get up to $1,000 back in site credit. That's promo code JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on mobile web. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Titans, Colts. Division rivals renew acquaintances in Week 3 at Nissan Stadium. Tune in Sunday at 9:30 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard, live from Rock Bottom Brewery and Restaurant on Broadway. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jared Stillman. Guys, are you tired of feeling old? You know that feeling. You don't have any energy. You're gaining pounds. Well, guess what? My friends at Invigorate Health are the ones to help you. They don't just focus on one area of the aging body. They take care of all of it with so many different therapies that can restore your vitality and are designed with you specifically in mind. So give them a try. Invigorate Health if you want to feel young again. Out in Mount Juliet at 615-288-4777 or invigoratehealthtn.com.
With all the new people moving here recently, we thought it'd be a good idea to explain Genesis Diamonds. If you've lived here a while, you know all this, so bear with us. Genesis Diamonds is not an ordinary jewelry store. It was started decades ago by a major diamond wholesaler based in Tel Aviv. He was the diamond supplier for hundreds of upscale jewelry stores. Then he decided to start selling direct to the public at prices that undercut traditional jewelers in a big way. This no middleman approach caught on fast and disrupted the traditional jewelry business model forever. Today, Genesis Diamonds continues that extraordinary value promise. With the highest quality diamonds, the lowest prices, the strongest guarantees, exceptional service, and a mind-blowing selection of fine diamonds and exclusive designer jewelry. So if you've just moved here from New York or California or wherever, we invite you to discover the secret the locals are well aware of. Genesis Diamonds. Just another great reason you made the move to this extraordinary place we're proud to call home.
Ever heard of a cold-like virus called RSV? RSV can cause complications in older adults, including pneumonia. The Evergreen study is assessing if an investigational study vaccine can prevent RSV disease caused by a respiratory syncytial virus in older adults. If you're 60 years of age or older, you may be able to join the Evergreen study. Visit clinicalresearchassociates.com/RSV to learn more. That's clinicalresearchassociates.com/RSV.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. There's no better time to upgrade your essential home systems than this month with Hiller. They're offering credits for your old home systems. Trade in your old HVAC unit and earn up to $1,500 in credits towards a select new system. Upgrade from a standard water heater to a tankless water heater and earn up to $500 with your trade. Trade up to a new electrical panel and earn up to $500 in credits for your old one. Their work is backed by the Happy You'll Be or Services Free guarantee. Their technicians are continuing to take measures to keep you and your family safe and healthy on every single call. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud sponsors of the Nashville Predators, Vanderbilt, and the Tennessee Volunteers.
Hey Nashville, Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee here, inviting you to tune in on ESPN 94.9 every Monday at 6 p.m. for the Commodore Hour, providing you with exclusive insights on Vanderbilt athletics.
Hey Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Silly underdog picks. Who's excited about that? Silly underdog picks. They're back. That's right. Silly underdog picks. Get in there and pick the underdog. 3 underdogs you think will win. You've got a chance to win tickets to a sporting event or concert in Nashville. Go to thegamenashville.com to play today. Silly underdog picks brought to you by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Let's go to your phone lines, which are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Your thoughts. Again, Trevor Maddich blowing sunshine, saying the Vols have a chance to win on Saturday at Florida. And then how long it'll take UT to get back. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do we have?
Skylar texts in and says, it was easy to watch the Tennessee Tech game with the ESPN Plus app, so just keep that in your back pocket for the next time the Vols play on SEC Network Plus. But
just because it was easy to do doesn't mean that I wanted to do it.
Oh, are you sure? Because I thought you wanted to watch it so bad.
I said I didn't even know what channel it was
I
on.
thought you said, "Oh, I can't wait to watch the Vols play Tennessee Tech. I love this team. I can't wait to watch them. I just can't figure it on my TV." I thought that's what you meant.
I don't even know if I openly said last week that I wasn't planning to watch the game, but I literally was not planning to watch the game. In fact, I went into a like last weekend was like a nice little like hot tub weather.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into a hot tub and I was listening. I was flipping through the radio. I'm looking for the Alabama game. And I'm like, where's the Alabama game? And the only game that was on at that time was the Vols. And I was like, I don't want to listen to this. I want to listen to the Alabama game.
You watched nothing over watching the Vols.
I just said I didn't want to. It was the only game.
Okay.
By the way, Ian, do we not have Alabama football anymore?
We do not.
Why not? Probably not a discussion.
I do not know the answer to that. But,
probably not a discussion for on the air.
But yeah, no, I don't think we are carrying Alabama this year.
I thought we had Alabama. All right, what else, Texas?
Well, Skylar goes on to say, but no chance Tennessee wins, but I'm hopeful it can be less than a 15-point spread. For that, I will watch with light expectations.
No, I mean, I'll watch too. I mean, like, I'm going to watch
this is
game.
Be,
like, that's no. Here's the thing. I think one thing Trevor said is a little accurate, which is all of the wind of Florida's sails of playing Alabama and having, that tough of a game last week. And I do think you're going to see, a little sloppiness out of Florida this week. Because
probably gassed a good bit.
In fact, we'll pick it tomorrow. I'm probably going to take Tennessee plus the 18.5.
It's a big spread.
Just because, I mean, how exhausting could it be after playing that game against Alabama? I remember Butch Jones' third or fourth year. They went to Tuscaloosa, and it was kind of a close game late. And Alabama, up until that point, had not had a bye week. So they had played like 9 straight weeks. And then they had a bye. And then they had LSU, who was currently the number 1 team in the country, I think, at that time. And I remember saying to people, like, look, like it was nice that Tennessee was competing in the game in the fourth quarter, but they were never going to win that game. And Alabama's focus was so on getting to the bye week. We've all worked that day before we go on vacation. And it's like, God, can we just get these 4 hours of talking about Taylor Lewan's podcast out of the way so we can get to vacation? We've all been there. Like, no matter what job you work, like you're sitting there before vacation. And I felt like Vol fans were like, we were in the game in the fourth quarter at Alabama. I'm like, So I think there's a little bit of this, like on the other side of it, where they played that emotionally, just physically draining game against Bama and lost, where they go into this game like, balls. And maybe Tennessee could get a nice lead early, or if they hit one of those passes, maybe that'll help. But I do think if you're a Vol fan, you want to watch because you do want to see right now what the difference is between the two programs. And maybe Heupel gives you some hope and makes it an interesting game, and then maybe that's what you ride off on.
That's kind of where I'm at. Is I see a bunch of texters in the text line saying, "Oh, no way that they're going to win," and I don't think that Tennessee is going to beat Florida. I'm not. If I bet on it, I'm not betting Tennessee on the money line. I don't think that they're a better team than Florida, but I think, like you said, look for the things so you can figure out who this team is. But another texter texts in and says, "I didn't watch the Tennessee Tech game and know that the Vols don't have a snowball's chance in hell of beating Florida." There's probably a little bit of truth to that.
Yeah, I see. This is the thing that's tough about this job and talking about a game like this, and it's like that depresses me. Like that depresses me.
That's sad because I also hate that Tennessee fans are going to turn this game on knowing that they don't have a chance to win this game.
I know, and it's not that it's okay if it's like this for 1 year. It's another thing when it's like this for a decade.
But I think that there is the sliver of optimism of, okay, we don't think they were going to win this game, but just how big is the gap?
Isn't that kind of the way that we feel about watching a game like this? But then, like last year, for example, they played Alabama, and after the game, Jeremy Pruitt said, the gap's not that big. And it's like...
Well, I think you also have to look at it through this new lens of Tennessee football, of new coach, new quarterback, your transfers have left, you brought new guys in. So, yeah. I think that's kind of how you view every game when you're a little unmatched is, okay, how big is the gap? What can we learn about this team?
So, it's like I watched Vanderbilt play Stanford on Saturday. And I did it, like I was flipping between that and the Penn State game. And I was watching Vanderbilt play Stanford. And Like, Vanderbilt has so much
Joe
work
Milton
to do.
will start this weekend. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just
That
got
breaking news?
I just got a Twitter alert that Josh Heupel announces on Vol Calls that Joe Milton will get the start this weekend. Says Milton had a great week of practice.
Vol Calls is on at 4:30 in the afternoon?
This was last night, but I just got the notification.
Oh, okay, so we know now that Milton's going to start?
Yeah.
I might take the 18.5 now.
Like Florida minus 18.5?
I may lay it.
Do you think that Milton and Hooker are that big of a difference?
I think Hooker keeps you from losing by more.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because with Milton, like, completing a pass is a difficult task.
18.5.
Completing a pass is a difficult task for Joe Milton.
But that's what's so frustrating is Joe Milton can get it to the opposite end zone.
But think about this.
But you just don't know if anyone will be there.
When you can't complete a pass, what does that do to the clock?
I know.
So
I know.
If he's chucking the ball down the field and they're not completing anything, then Florida's going to get more possessions and they're going to score more points.
I know.
Whereas if Hooker's the quarterback, the Vols may not score as many as they would with Milton, but the likelihood that they get some first downs and Florida has less possessions, I feel like is pretty fair. So that's how I got to that conclusion. For whatever that's worth.
Yeah, it's true.
I think I haven't made my decision. I'll make that tomorrow on Caroline's. I will make that decision.
Marinate on it.
But I think that I might have to lay the 18.5. I don't know.
I don't know.
I really am not a Milton fan.
don't know if this is even a game that I want to touch financially.
Joe Rexrode has confirmed to ESPN 102.5 The Game that he did watch, quote, a bit of the Tennessee Tech game. He said he was flying.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, so if he wasn't flying, I'm sure he would have been right there with me watching every single second.
So you think he bought the Wi-Fi to watch it? Because that's not the free TV. You know, the free TV has regular channels.
Well, no, I'm saying if he wasn't flying, he probably would have been watching it.
No, I know. But I'm saying, like, do you think that he, like, watched, like, the free TV and that it had the game on there?
Oh, maybe.
I don't think it did. I think he had to pay the $9 or whatever.
Did he watch it on the plane, though? I thought he said he watched some of it, but was
flying.
flying.
You know what? When he said I was flying, it's probably like he was at the airport during, like, the first quarter.
And was watching a little bit of the game.
And he was watching
and then
like,
got on the plane.
Oh, yeah. No, I'll tell you what. Like, the free TV, when there's a game on and you're flying, kind of worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I went to Phoenix a couple of months ago. And I was flying back on a Sunday night, and the Braves were on Sunday Night Baseball, and the direct flight from Nashville to Phoenix on Southwest is 3 o'clock. So I just watched the Braves on Sunday Night Baseball, just sat in my chair, watched the game. It was a fun game. A-Rod was terrible, but
that's not new.
Other than that, it was great. We'll hit the headlines with Caroline. We'll do that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll hit the headlines, get an update on Carson Wentz. We'll do that coming up next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobus, and fall feels continue tonight, mainly clear, down near 50 degrees. A little patchy morning fog can't be ruled out very early for your Friday. High temperatures soaring into the middle 70s, so still cooler than average and plenty of sun.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible. With innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Cast iron. Lift that cast iron. You're doing good.
Hey, hon. Sweetie.
Yeah, hon.
I need to make dinner. I need that pan.
You can't always do home workouts how you'd want, but now you can sip what you want. Heineken 0.0. It tastes great, only has 69 calories, and absolutely zero alcohol.
Well, here, lift these. 2 Heineken 0.0s.
Oh, right. Dumbbells I can drink. Sip. 0.
Must be 21 plus to purchase. Enjoy responsibly.
It's football season, and Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is here to serve you. If your AC or heater is old and inefficient, you can replace it with up to 60 months no monthly interest financing for qualified buyers. That's right, 60 months no monthly interest financing for qualified buyers. One of the many ways you can save at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They offer 6 months no interest financing available on repairs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, offering premium service without the premium price. Visit springhillac.com or call them at 615-778-8855.
It's that time of year again, and all eyes are now turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron. BetOnline.net is your #1 spot for all the pro and college football odds and news this season. Get all the updated info on players, teams, and odds to help you with your new football contests, leagues, and new survivor pools. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports. Pro sports, MMA, championship boxing, golf, horse racing, they have it all. Bring the game home with BetOnline.net, where the game starts.
MTSU football returns to Floyd Stadium October 2nd for the annual Blackout game against the Thundering Herd of Marshall. Kickoff at 6 p.m. The official Blackout ticket t-shirt package on sale now for just $15. Floyd Stadium provides guaranteed fun for fans of all ages with the Blue Raider Beer Garden featuring Steel Barrel Brewery, the Family Fun Zone offering inflatables, carnival games, and an ice cream station. Get tickets at goblueraiders.com/tickets and enter promo code Blackout2021. Go Blue Raiders.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and paid time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Fall is here, and that means the cold winds of winter are coming. It's a great time to replace those old, drafty windows. Pella is the leader in the industry for top-quality window and door products. But Pella Windows and Doors are also affordable, extremely affordable. Pella has payment plans less than $95 a month to replace your windows. So, I suggest you purchase your windows and doors from the experts at Pella of Nashville. Go to PellaofNashville.com.
Robbie Stanley.
Maybe it doesn't hurt their bottom line this year. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen on that front.
Joe Rexrode.
5 guys who are on the roster are not going to be on the roster.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company, an update on Carson Wentz for his availability on Sunday against the Titans. Did not practice today. Now, I read in the Indianapolis Star that Frank Reich wants his players to practice at least once a week before they play in a game. But he made an exception for T.Y. Hilton in 2018, and my guess is that he might make an exception for Wentz this week. Brett Hundley has been getting the starters reps, and they asked if Jacob Eason was getting good reps in practice in case Wentz can't go yesterday. And Reich, I guess, answered the question by saying something along the lines of, we'll be prepared for whatever comes our way, or something like that. Like, did not mention Jacob or Eason at any point in a direct question about Jacob Eason.
Well,
with that, it's time for headlines with Caroline.
We're spanning the sports world. It's Headlines with Caroline on Stillman and Company, right here on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Headlines with Caroline is presented by Firo Tequila, the world's spiciest infused tequila. The world belongs to the brave.
Also, clarification, Joe Milton's status for Saturday is still up in the air, so not necessarily starting quite yet.
So what did Twitter tell us?
Ben McKee, who covers the Vols, says Joe Milton status still up in the air.
Wait a minute. So he went on Vol Calls yesterday, said Milton's going to start.
Apparently he didn't say that.
Twitter.
Twitter's going to Twitter.
They ought to ban him.
Twitter's going to Twitter.
They ought to tag the tweet on Twitter. False information.
The tweet on Twitter?
Yeah. Well, where else would the tweet be?
Exactly.
The tweet on Twitter.
The tweet on Twitter. The tweet.
Flag it.
So, little bit of news. Jack Eichel failed his physical at Sabres training camp, so he will no longer be captain of the team. He's been out since March with a herniated disc in his neck, so he's placed on IR to start the season. So the team doctors have recommended this fusion surgery to repair the hernia, which apparently a lot of hockey players have done in the past. It's a little bit of a longer recovery period. But Jack Eichel has refused to get that specific surgery. He wanted to rather get like a plastic disc inserted in his
He wanted
neck.
that one that like one MMA fighter has done, right?
Yes, like no other hockey players have done it in the past, but it is a quicker recovery, so he wanted to get back into the game. But the team wanted him to get one that it was like I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but it's a fusion surgery and it's a little bit longer of a recovery, but hockey players in the past have gotten it and they've come back and been totally fine. But Eichel's already requested a trade from Buffalo. He's in the 4th year of his 8-year, $80 million contract last season before a full no-movement clause kicks in next summer. So a little bit of drama with Jack Eichel and the Sabres.
I think he got stripped of the captaincy because he doesn't want to take the surgery that they want him to have, which I think is kind of
And they've phrased it as he hasn't passed his physical, so he will not.
Right. Well, of course he wasn't going to pass his physical. He's got a giant back issue.
Right.
So they owe him $10 million per year. Like, he's got a huge contract, big boy forward, whatever. That is a very untenable situation that I don't see like an exit strategy on. So good luck to everybody involved on the Jack Eichel situation. What's next?
Tom Brady's personal trainer, Alex
Shots
Guerrero.
fired.
Yeah, shots fired at Belichick today. So said that Coach Bill Belichick never evolved in how he treated Brady, a factor that contributed to Brady's leaving New England and going to Tampa Bay. Guerrero told the Boston Globe, as Tom got into his late 30s or early 40s, I think Bill was still trying to treat him like that 20-year-old kid that he drafted. And all the players, I think, realized that Tom was different. He's older, so he should be treated differently. And all the players, none of them would have cared that he was treated differently. And I'm sorry, if you're a player on the Patriots and you're upset that Bill Belichick may or may not be treating Tom Brady a little bit differently than you, and you're 20 years old and Tom Brady's 42, then that's a little bit more of your problem. But very much so, shots fired at Bill Belichick.
Doesn't sound like something my old co-host would have said. If Brady's 42, you got to treat him differently. The thing about that place is everybody's treated the same.
And that's exactly why Tom Brady left.
And that's okay.
And I would kind of...
I think Bill's
if
okay
I'm
with
Tom
that.
Brady, I kind of expect to be treated a little bit differently.
I think that's... This is the way...
But that's the culture of the team, and I understand that.
This is the way Bill probably views it,
Mm-hmm.
is Tom has acted for 20 years like one of 53. We've won a lot of championships with Tom being one of 53. The way that we've built this is one of 53. I'll give you an example. 20 years ago today, you know what happened 20 years ago today?
I do.
Drew Bledsoe got hit by Mo Williams.
You're just taking stuff off my headlines, aren't you?
And Tom Brady entered the game.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mo Lewis,
excuse me. And you go back to the middle of that season. This is of all the things that people can say about Belichick, and was it Tom, was it Bill, was it all the things that you can say about either one of them. Bill Belichick had the stones to keep the $100 million quarterback Drew Bledsoe on the bench and roll with Tom Brady. The story is that Ty Law and Lawyer Malloy were the two defensive veteran, leaders of that Patriot defense. So early on in the season, they take Brady out to dinner. Kind of like one of these, all right, Tom, here's how we do things around here. The defense will have your back, but don't screw us up. Like that kind of, get to know you kind of session.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, Brady told Ty Law and Lawyer Malloy he wasn't giving the job back. And I think it was Ty Law that said that they looked at each other like, who is this dude? Like, come on now.
Right.
And the players were stunned when Belichick said Brady's the guy over Bledsoe. Now, when Brady kept having success and they kept winning, and then they were like, okay, coach, right on. We hear you.
6 Super Bowls in New England later.
Sure. But, that's because he treated Drew Bledsoe like one of the guys. And Drew fell in line. And that's the way I look at it as.
But did Drew Bledsoe win 6 Super Bowls with New England?
When Drew Bledsoe signed his $100 million contract, like the first one in the history of the NFL, Robert Kraft held a press conference and said that by the time his contract is done, Drew Bledsoe will be the next Bobby Orr, Larry Bird, Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, these great Boston athletes. He would be right there. And so, obviously, there was favoritism to Bledsoe, but Belichick couldn't live that way. Did he have 6 Super Bowls? It doesn't matter to Belichick. All he's worried about is the next Super Bowl. So I think that you have to understand like the mindset of a Belichick.
No, I get it.
In order to understand why this was that way. And ultimately, it's like we talked about like with divorce earlier today. Or like couples, like can you really be with somebody if you're one faith and they're another faith? And it's a big deal to both of them. Like, can you really do that? And in this case, Tom wanted more say. Tom wanted more, kind of wanted to be able to put his feet up a little bit. Tom kind of wanted to be more of an individual. Well, that's just not what Bill does. That's why they got divorced. And I think Bill can live with that. Like, I think people look at this, if Tom won the Super Bowl and stuck it up Bill's keister, and now Bill's got I don't think Bill looks at it that way. I think Bill looked at it like, hey, we had 20 great years.
What you want doesn't fit on this team anymore, and we wish you the best.
That's what I think Bill is.
Yeah.
That's who I think Bill is. And so, that's why, like, I get it. Guerrero, really? Like,
yeah, I mean, what does he get out of this? Why is he spilling the beans?
You know that when Guerrero says something or Brady Sr. says something, like,
it's because it wants to be shared.
You know that's been cleared.
Oh, yeah.
You know that's been okay.
Yeah. Well, at least by one person. Not necessarily Bill Belichick, but by Tom Brady.
There you go. What's next?
The Pro Football Hall of Fame released its list of 122 nominees for the 22 class, including 6 former Tennessee Titans.
Yes.
Steve McNair, Eddie George, Lorenzo Neal, Derek Mason, Andre Johnson, and kicker Gary Anderson were all on the nominee list for the 2022 class of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Andre Johnson really kind of made his case for the Hall of Fame in Houston.
You mean that game-winning touchdown he had in his 4 games he played for the Titans?
He played 8 games with the Titans.
8, excuse me.
You're saying, that time we spent together wasn't magical?
That game-winning touchdown that he caught against Detroit Week 2, 2016, it's not the greatest memory of Andre Johnson.
I'm sure the 8 games that he spent here were just absolutely wonderful and for sure a feather in his career cap. But he is technically on the Titans ballot, so put him on there as well. So the 122 nominees as of every year will be cut to 25 in November and down to the 15 finalists in January. Now, my question for you.
Okay.
If there were to be one Tennessee Titan from that list to make it to, let's say, the 25 in November, or maybe even the 15 in January, who do you think it would be?
Well, I think Andre Johnson probably has the best bet, though. Let's not count him. Gary Anderson. Gary Anderson should be in the Hall of Fame. I think that there are arguments to be made. Lorenzo Neal was a great fullback. Eddie George, Steve McNair, and I think Derek Mason's accomplishments will never be fairly appreciated by the country for what he was able to do, not only as a receiver but also as a kick returner and a punt returner. He set an all-time, all-purpose yards record in a season. Like, that's incredible. Derek Mason was an awesome Titan. And Gary Anderson, though, when you think about his career and the longevity of it and the big kicks that he made, and I know everyone's going to remember the kick he missed in 98. They kept the Vikings, an unbelievable Viking team from the Super Bowl.
But that's just the worst part about being a kicker is that when people love you, they love you, and they hate you, they hate you.
And Gary Anderson, when he came in here, hit that game winner against Baltimore in the playoffs. So I think Gary, if Morton Anderson's in the Hall of Fame, I think Gary Anderson should be in the Hall of Fame. They're putting in more kickers, more specialists. Jan Stenerud's in there. I would put Gary Anderson. That would be my one if I had to put one in there. Those are headlines with Caroline, presented by Firo Tequila, the world's spiciest infused tequila. The world belongs to the brave. Caroline wants to tell us about our fine folks at BetUS.
I want to tell you about my favorite sports book, and that is BetUS. Football is back. We've got a Thursday night game tonight, so it's time to get in on the action. So BetUS has been America's favorite sportsbook for over 25 years, and that's exactly why BetUS is my favorite sportsbook, because they've been around. You can trust them. They have integrity. They have longevity, and when you win on BetUS, you know that you are going to get paid. So they offer everything. They have live bets, MMA, golf, horses, esports, all kind of bets. Whatever you want to put money on, you can do it at BetUS. So call them today. They'll walk you through setting up an account. It is so easy. All you have to do is call 1-800-79-BET-US. That is 1-800-79-BET-US, and you will set up your BetUS account. I've done it. It's easy. Go ahead and go try it. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. You can get up to 200% in bonuses at BetUS. Nobody beats that. So if you sign up and you mention game, you can get a sign up bonus on your first deposit. Nobody beats that. I bet at BetUS. So should you. So go now to betus.com. Join today. Put in that promo code. The promo code is GAME, G-A-M-E, for a sign up bonus on your first deposit. And that is betus.com.
The voice of reason.
All of those question marks that we needed to see on the field, all of those things that we were worried could possibly happen, happened.
The voice of the fan.
And so now you got a situation now, man, that is very volatile, and it might get out of hand.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
It's soccer season in Tennessee. You want goals?
He takes it inside, outside, right foot. Great finish! What a goal!
You want saves?
Lifted high, into the hands of Joe Willis. He makes the catch.
You want big drama?
Hooked in, and headed in! Delirium! It's Yonder Cadiz!
Nashville SC are back at home Wednesday, September 29th versus Orlando City SC. The action kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
How'd you like that?
Your style changes constantly, not just with the season, but with what's going on in your life, too. So why are you wearing the same pieces of clothing day in and day out? Introducing Stitch Fix Freestyle, a personalized shopping experience that allows you to discover and instantly buy clothing and accessories based specifically on your style preferences and fit. Stop settling for what you have and start getting new looks for any occasion, ones that actually fit you. And with Stitch Fix, shipping and returns are always free, so you've got nothing to lose. Head to StitchFix.com today to get started.
Cheers to you, girl. I know you're excited about the new job.
Oh, thanks so much.
Hey, is that my engagement ring you're wearing?
Don't be silly. Oh, wow. They are identical. How did that happen?
Don't tell me. He went to jail.
Yeah, yours too, I guess.
Wow.
Don't make her settle for one of those cookie cutter rings from the big corporate chain jewelry stores. At Genesis Diamonds, you can get her a stunning one-of-a-kind designer ring, one that's as unique as she is. Genesis has over 4,000 handcrafted rings from world-class designers like Tacori, Viraggio, Henry Dossi, and others. These are designers that you'll never see in one of those mega corporate stores, but we have them starting at under $1,000. So ladies, don't settle for the ordinary, for a ring that will be yours and yours alone. Make sure he goes to
Genesis Diamonds.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Nashville's best sports talk. Locally owned. Home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram. 97.5 Murfreesboro. WBUZ HD2 Laverne. Online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN.
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game. All of our streaming via Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. So the Colts come to town, and I feel like I am on a crusade. I've never been one of these people. You know, I'm not going to go, whether or not, no matter what my feeling is on a mask or not a mask, I'm never going to protest, right? Like, you're never going to see me outside my house with a sign saying, you know, we should be wearing masks or we shouldn't be wearing masks.
Because you're not really big on strong opinions?
I'm not big on, like, showmanship. You know, like that kind. Like, I'm just not big on that.
When it doesn't apply to sports.
I guess.
Okay.
But I'm on a crusade right now.
Okay.
And this is for all the people out there that just seem to think that the Indianapolis Colts are some great team. And the Titans take on the Colts this week. And Carson Wentz probably is not going to play. Has not practiced either day. I mean, when you really look at the duck theory, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. He had to leave the game with no chance to return on Sunday, even though it was right there at the end. They couldn't shoot that ankle up and give it one series. They couldn't do it. Then he leaves Monday on a scooter, doesn't practice Thursday, doesn't practice Friday, and they've been giving their practice squad quarterback all the reps. That tells you all you need to know.
Do we know that he's not practicing tomorrow?
No, I said didn't practice. Did I say not practicing tomorrow?
You said not practicing Friday.
Okay. Didn't practice yesterday. Didn't practice today. If he's not practicing tomorrow, we'll know. But they're giving their practice squad quarterback all the reps. My guess is Brett Hundley is going to be the starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. But regardless of that, Bill Barnwell at ESPN ranked the top winless teams in the NFL. The winless teams are the Colts, the Falcons, the Giants, the Jags, the Jets, the Lions, and the Vikings. And I am not a believer in any of these teams. The Falcons, for example, Arthur Smith has so much work to do. That roster is a mess, and the salary cap is. They are what the Predators will be if they just keep going for it over and over and over again and don't ever rebuild. They are kind of, in that category. The Giants, total mess. I think Joe Judge is going to be the first coach fired this year. The Jags, enough said. Jets, same thing. Lions, even worse than those two. Vikings, Kirk Cousins is your quarterback. Now, I could argue the Vikings might be as good as the Colts, but I think that's an argument topic, and I haven't watched the Vikings play. The Vikings didn't win a game because Greg Joseph missed a field goal. That's why they didn't beat Arizona. So I would argue that
you can make that argument 100%.
They've got, Bill Barnwell, number one team, Indianapolis Colts. Chances to make the playoffs, 32.3. Now, I will say this. If Indy loses to go 0-3, I think those odds drop significantly. And I don't think these odds factor in the fact that if Carson Wentz plays on Sunday that he's going to be hurt, or if he doesn't play, that they're going to have no option at quarterback, which I think would significantly lower their chances of winning on Sunday. And if they lose on Sunday, I think it significantly lowers their playoff chances. But we also have to keep in mind every stat you're going to read about a team that's 0-3 or 1-4 or 0-4 or something like that was with 6 playoff teams normally and not with 7 playoff teams normally. And the reason I say this is because maybe the Colts in an AFC where the Chargers don't look like a great team that everyone's making them out to be, and I'm still a little lukewarm on the Raiders, maybe they could sneak their way in as a wild card. But the Colts' chance to make the playoffs, 32.3%. Barnwell writes, quote, the Colts' chances, meanwhile, might depend on how their players manage to play through or after injuries. Eric Fisher taking over for the retired Anthony Costanzo at left tackle, returned from a torn Achilles to take over in week 2. Guard Quentin Nelson underwent foot surgery. The same was true of Carson Wentz, Wentz start with the Colts has been a mixed bag. In reviewing his first 2 games, you see some of the things that led to the 2016 number 2 overall pick to be so highly regarded during his first couple of years with the Eagles. You also see the guy who doesn't seem to trust his reads and takes unnecessary hits. Well, duh. I mean, nobody thought that Carson Wentz never showed promise. Carson Wentz is still a starting quarterback in the NFL because he's shown at times that he can be good. Jared Goff is still a starting quarterback in the NFL because he's shown at times that he can be good. But it's everything else. And they keep talking about the Colts, Barnwell writes. To some extent, the Colts have been a bit unlucky to start their season. Against the Rams, they had an almost comical run of bad luck inside the 10-yard line. One drive got close to the goal line on a Jonathan Taylor run before Wentz was sacked on 4th and 1 at the 1-foot line. Later in the half, they made it to the 3-yard line, only for Wentz to somehow throw an interception on a shovel pass. The Colts have gotten inside the 5-yard line 3 times and scored a total of 3 points. That's not going to keep happening. Stop right there. I was listening to an old Jared and the GM podcast. They were playing the Buccaneers, the Titans, in 2019, and they won the game. And the red zone numbers, this was Ryan Tannehill's second start. And we were discussing why the red zone numbers were so much better in the 2 games Tannehill played than the 2 games that Marcus played. And TD asked Mike Vrabel, why is the red zone so much better? And we all know the answer, right? And Vrabel was, we really worked on it in the spring, and we focused on it, and we feel like if we do the things we're supposed to do, we'll score points. Vrabel's not going to say, Mariota was the reason why we weren't good in the red zone. Tannehill is the reason why we are good in the red zone now. So when people tell me that, hey, the Colts have just been unlucky in that game against the Rams, I didn't watch it other than just looking at it at the sports bar. I'm going to guess a lot of it was because one team had Aaron Donald and the other team had Carson Wentz. That's probably why that happened. And I keep going through, I just feel like the Colts are just given so much grace by everybody in the national media. And I feel like Wentz is given so much grace in the national media. Barnwell writes on defense, though the Colts are simply allowing too many big plays, they are never going to have the best defense in football with their personnel and typical game plan, but they've been able to take away big plays in the past. They were the third most zone-heavy team in the league over defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus's first 3 seasons in Indy, and over that time frame, they've allowed 7.7 yards per attempt in zone coverage. Through 2 weeks, they're allowing 11.5 yards per attempt in zone coverage. Without the corners to play heavy man coverage as much more than a changeup, they'll have to be able to survive in zone. Can't win playing a zone in the NFL if you don't have an elite offense. The way you win with that Tampa 2 defense is to go out there and run the football or be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that had elite pass rushing. Indianapolis doesn't have that. And yet, best winless team according to ESPN, the Colts. Anytime somebody says anything, it's like, oh yeah, Indianapolis is just great. Remember that time Fitz came on and was talking about how Indianapolis' roster is so unbelievably good, and I was like, name me a player on their defense except Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner. And he was like, But that's what the national media does. And I'm trying to figure out this. And I'm not here to bag on the Colts, because the Colts, it would be a different discussion and a different game if Carson Wentz was healthy and able to play on Sunday. Right now, it looks like he's not. But what bothers me is this idea that Indy gets so much grace and Wentz gets so much grace. I told you watching Monday Night Football, everybody in America thinks Jared Goff stinks. And Jared Goff might stink. But nobody says those things about Carson Wentz. They only say them about Jared Goff. And people will say, well, Wentz almost had an MVP season in 2017. Goff almost had an MVP season in 2018. So to me, I just am trying to figure out where Indianapolis and where Carson Wentz just get this free hall pass from.
I mean, and that's something that I've also tried to figure out for the longest time is where does this love for Carson Wentz come from as well? Because, he did have a wonderful season in 2017, but a lot of players have one good season, and a lot of players have good seasons and then don't really repeat that same kind of success in the future. Because at its core, you have to look at it. How long can Carson Wentz stay healthy? That's a legitimate question.
2 weeks?
2 weeks. So, Carson Wentz may be, one of the best quarterbacks of this generation. We haven't seen it. And he can't stay healthy, and he cannot contribute to this Indianapolis Colts offense if he is on the bench every couple of weeks. So I hear you when they have a staunch defensive line. Great. They have a running back that I think has a very, very bright future.
Do they have a staunch defensive line? They've got one great player.
They're one of the best in run defenses in the league.
They got one great player. Well, who's the running back for the Rams?
Well, it's supposed to be Cam Akers.
But it's not.
Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel.
Okay, and we saw the Seattle run game last week. Did they do anything running the football against, other than that one before halftime run with Alex Collins, who got his first carry all year, and he ran like 23 yards up the middle with 30 seconds to go in the first half? I mean, I didn't even think Seattle tried to run the ball on the Titans.
I don't think they really needed to.
I mean, they couldn't move the ball at the end of the game when it mattered.
That's true. They couldn't really move the ball in the second half, but in the first quarter, why would you run the ball?
No, I mean, but that's my point, though, is that if Seattle doesn't want to run the ball, why would Seattle run the ball?
Exactly.
So the two teams they played are not trying to run the ball. See, here's the thing that I actually believe, and this is also in the Titans' favor. Mm-hmm. I think no one takes into account, when they talk about Indy's defensive line last year, when they had DeForest Buckner and Danico Autry.
That's probably some...
And the Titans, Danico Autry is not free.
No.
The Titans are paying him $7 million a season for 3 years in order to play next to Jeffrey Simmons because they want that defensive line that Indianapolis had with Buckner and Autry. Mm-hmm. But they're just taking some guy out there to replace Autry with. I mean, you want to say Jonathan Taylor. I do think Jonathan Taylor's a bad boy. But I also have seen Derrick Henry when he had Mariota as the quarterback, and some games he could take over, but some games he couldn't because everybody else is, fine, whatever. See if Mariota can beat you. And I think Wentz is a lot more Mariota, sometimes bad decision-making, runs around with the football, always hurt, than he is Tannehill, who is the definition of Johnny Reliable as long as he holds on to the football in the pocket. And I have such a hard time with this hall pass that the Colts get. If they go 0-3, if the Titans beat them, which they should, if the Titans beat the Colts, where's everybody who wanted to anoint Frank Reich and Chris Ballard the greatest football minds in the world? Where are they going to be talking about this team? And remember,
well, the conversation is going to be, well, of course they didn't win that game because they didn't have Carson Wentz.
But whose fault is that?
You cannot say it's Frank Reich's fault that Carson Wentz is injured.
Yes, it is. If you hire a babysitter who is not dependable, that over a 5-year period has showed you that they are not dependable and not responsible, and you leave your child with them, and they are not dependable or responsible, whose fault is it?
But to say, it's not like Frank Reich took a baseball bat to Carson Wentz's ankles.
No, but he knew.
Yes,
Chris
he did
Ballard
know.
knew.
But
He
you cannot
knew.
put blame on Chris Ballard and Frank Reich.
Why not?
Because they didn't hurt Carson Wentz.
But they knew what they were getting into when they traded for the guy.
So you don't have to feel bad for them, but you're not going to put blame on them.
I
They
am.
didn't do it.
Totally putting
You
blame on
can.
them.
That's fine.
Because in the NFL, the number one ability in the NFL is what?
Availability.
Okay. So when you're taking somebody who's got all this ability that he had 4 years ago, but the number one ability he doesn't have and hasn't had, including that year that was so great, then it happens. And now I'm not supposed to blame you for not having a better option behind him, that you're using a practice squad quarterback?
Do I think it was a smart move? No. I mean, you and I talked the day that it happened. I said,
then you got to blame them.
But I'm not going to blame them
If
for
they
Carson
made a
Wentz
bad
being
move,
hurt.
if they made a bad move, which you said was a bad move.
I blame them for making a bad move. I don't blame them for Carson Wentz having 2 broken ankles.
You should. Carson Wentz is hurt again. Why would this gamble on the part of Frank Reich not work out? Because Carson Wentz may not be very good, and he's always hurt. You know what's funny? John Robinson and Mike Vrabel, we talked about the hot seat and when it was going to come for Robinson and Vrabel after they benched Mariota. Because with Mariota, Robinson came in, Mariota was in his first year in the league. Everybody thought Mariota was good. And when they fired Malarkey, it was because he wasn't getting the most out of Mariota. So they were bringing in Vrabel and LaFleur to fix Mariota. Now they're benching Mariota. So what that tells me, the way I know how the NFL works, you get one crack at it. So the next guy you get, if it's Herbert from Oregon, if it's Burrow from LSU at the time, if it's Ryan Lindley, if it's whoever it is, you get one crack at it. Because the fans are mad at the quarterback now. But after you change the quarterback, then they're going to be mad at the coach and the GM. Do you know why Ryan Tannehill was the backup for the Titans?
Why?
Because the year before, at the end of the season in 2018, they found themselves in a winner-take-all game with the Indianapolis Colts. Mariota was hurt, and Blaine Gabbert was the starting quarterback. And the Titans said, never again. We have to get somebody better because we can't depend on Marcus Mariota. We have to get somebody better behind him. Tannehill was not in here to take Marcus's job in case Marcus wasn't good. Tannehill was here so that they didn't find themselves in the situation the last game of the season that they did in 2018, which is the exact situation Indy finds themselves in right now. And that is exactly why he was here. And so my whole point is Robinson and Vrabel realized they couldn't depend on Mariota. So they had to use a 4th-round pick and spent $7 million, I guess 5 of which was Miami spending money. But they had to send a 4th-round pick in order to get something more dependable. And then they ended up in the AFC title game. That's the difference. So, to me, if you go out and you get somebody who's not dependable, and then something happens, you can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it like, how were they supposed to know? I don't know. Or, this guy has a history of this. By the way, do you know where Mariota is right now?
Where is? No, he's in Oakland.
IR.
He isn't?
Not Oakland. Vegas.
He's on IR.
Well, there you go.
He ran one play in that Monday Night Football game, and he got hurt. Injured guys, think about football. Dumb guys stay dumb. Fat guys stay fat. Injured guys stay injured.
So I think that what my point is, the Colts lose on Sunday. The national media will say it was because it was Carson Wentz. You cannot blame Frank Reich or Chris Ballard for Carson Wentz being hurt on Sunday. If Carson Wentz does not work out, if Carson Wentz spends more time on the bench than he does on the field in his tenure in Indianapolis, then yes, you can blame Frank Reich and Chris Ballard. But I know for a fact, When, let's say if, the Titans beat Indianapolis on Sunday, the conversation will be, well, it was because they didn't have Carson Wentz.
Right. And I think it's their fault for not having a better alternative and not having been prepared.
That is fair.
And
not having a better alternative is their fault.
Going back to this guy getting hurt. He already got hurt in the preseason. Now he's hurt with something totally different. This guy gets hurt.
Yeah, yes, history has shown this guy gets hurt.
So when you invest in somebody who's not reliable and then it bites you in the rear end, it should be your fault. And that's how I look at it. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones next. 615-737-1025. I'm not dogging on the Colts other than the fact that I think they get such a hall pass. Such a hall pass. Stillman and Company right here. It's ESPN 1025 The Game. I'm sure I have something very important to tell all the fine folks about. Let me tell them right now. That's right. The pregame show. 9:30. That's right. 9:30. The pregame show. Mark Howard, Chris Sanders will be live at Rock Bottom Brewery on Broadway prior to the Titans and the Colts. The pregame show is brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parman Tractor and Equipment, FreedomTireGuys.com, FanDuel, E2 Roofing, Hillside Medical, Social Furniture, and Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Derrick Henry, 60 yards. The Tennessee Titans are 1-1 heading into a Week 3 showdown against AFC South rival Indianapolis.
5-minute drive, Taylor in for the touchdown.
And we've got you covered all week long.
Being 1-1, you really got a chance to put Indianapolis behind the A-ball.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
Titans on 3. 1, 2, 3. Titans.
And the Game Nashville app.
Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee, serving golfers since 1968.
Need a new roof? Get a roof built with integrity from E2 Roofing. E2 is a veteran-owned and operated local roofer with 95 5-star Google reviews and Better Business Bureau A+ rating. E2 Roofing is a veteran-owned and operated local roofer with 90 5-star Google reviews and Better Business Bureau A+ rating. E2 assists customers with roof repair and replacements through insurance claim assistance. Find out if insurance will pay for your new roof with a free inspection at e2roofingnashville.com.
Dropkick Murphys and Rancid are back with Boston to Berkeley 2. Dropkick Murphys. Rancid this Friday night at Ascend Amphitheater. Buy tickets now at livenation.com. Don't miss Dropkick Murphys and Rancid live in concert, part of the Journeys concert series.
If you snore, it may be a sign of a more serious, possibly life-threatening condition. Most people think of snoring as a nuisance, but it's a much more serious medical condition than you think. Snoring has been associated with chest pain, sleep apnea, high blood pressure, chronic pain, obesity, headaches, and sore throat. Take a listen to what some of our patients are saying about the revolutionary Vivo system.
Right after I started using it, I noticed the results really, especially with the snoring. My sleep apnea episodes are a fraction of what they were before. This product's phenomenal. It changed my life.
I am 100% happy that I did this, and I'm thankful every day that I have it.
If you're curious about our sleep devices, call now for a sleep consultation. Don't let your spouse have to sleep in the guest room, and don't risk the severe health complications of snoring and sleep apnea.
Dr. Kelly Rice is certified to provide the Vivo system to open the airway for a better night's sleep. Call 615-373-4488 or go to BrentwoodSleepApnea.com now to see which therapy can work best for you.
Individual results may vary. Always seek the advice of your health provider with any questions regarding a medical condition.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
For you as a coordinator, as a defense, when you're not exactly sure who the quarterback's going to be on Sunday, just kind of your approach?
Yeah, I mean, we're playing a familiar opponent. They've kind of always have done similar things. The quarterback has changed them from Brissett to Rivers. It has changed a little bit in that regard. I think you got to prepare for all of them. Like, our guys better have an idea about all of them, just their skill sets and kind of where this thing might trend to come Sunday, depending on who's playing. But at the same time, like, we got to prepare to freaking play the other 10 guys as well, right? Like, they have their scheme. I don't know if it's going to just be a wholehearted change, but more importantly, we just got to know who these quarterbacks are and how we can ultimately affect them and understand potentially what we might get differently from each of them.
I'll tell you this, I'd be a lot more worried if it was Jacoby Brissett. that was going out there for the Colts today.
Oh, yeah.
Sunday. A lot more worried. Do you have authority? You want to go to the phones?
To the phones.
Phones we go. 615-737-1025. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Ellie is up next in the Titans. Thank you for calling. Thank you for waiting. Go ahead, Ellie.
Yeah, no. Looking at the big picture, I think the AFC South is probably the worst division in football. Do you think the Titans will need more than 7 wins to win the division?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your call. Yes.
Yes.
Here's the thing that's crazy about all of this, right?
You can't be 7-10 and win the division.
So you play division-wise, and I just think about quarterbacks and like big picture, which divisions do you play in the NFL? This year, you play the AFC East, which doesn't look to be great, right?
Mm-hmm.
New England's got some issues, rookie quarterback. Miami's got some issues with a young quarterback. The Jets got a rookie quarterback. That should at least, of those 4 games, be 3 wins. You should win this game against Indianapolis and your other 4 divisional games against the Texans and the Jags.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 5, plus 3 is 8, plus the one you have now is 9.
Mm-hmm.
And that's before we even get to the NFC West is going to be kind of hard, but you've already played 2 of those games. Like, it's before you get to the rest of the schedule. So
Rams, probably not a win.
NFC West is going to be hard.
Yeah.
But it's like with that in and of itself should take care of where you are. And I'm not saying 9 wins should get you in there, but now you can pick up a 10th by winning the other Indianapolis game.
But you win those 4 against Houston and Jacksonville, you're already at 2nd.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you get, now, look, the games against the division winners are going to be a little tough now.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to be easy but then you get the Steelers who won't love. Like the Steelers and Saints are 2 teams that have been good traditionally for a while. Now I don't think either team's very good.
I think I put both of those as should wins on my preseason prediction schedule was should wins.
Let's go to Cedric, who's up next. Thank you for calling the show. As always, Cedric, you go ahead.
Man, listen, the best thing about the last segment was listening to you refer to our former quarterback by his last name because for 5 years we had to listen to you talk about Marcus. Now, hey, Jared, it's time for us to get away from Taylor Lewan. Let's trade that guy right now, and let's go get us 2 first-round picks for Lewan. He is the Marcus Mariota right now offensive lineman. Not available. He gets hurt. And listen, man, Derrick Henry rushed for 2,000 yards with the dude on the bench. He rushed for 182 with him on the bench. We don't need Taylor Lewan, man. Let's trade the dude, get us a couple first-round picks, and let's solidify this team and get better for the future. Let's expand this window. I'm out, man. Tighten up.
So thank you. So this Taylor Lewan comment from Cedric was completely unprompted, right?
Yes.
So the way that we do this show is I put together a grid every day. I have always done that where, I kind of put it together, send it out to, originally send it out to Brian, Ian, and Floyd every day, then just Ian and Floyd, then just Ian, now Ian and Caroline every day. And Caroline, read to the people what the 445 segment was. And this is like a play sheet. Like, like the coordinator that's got the little thing in front of his mouth. It's like 29 Eagles shoot. So it's there, but we can change it as we go along. Read to the people what the 445 segment was originally scheduled to be.
Taylor Lewan is uber polarizing for Titans fans, but reality is either he'll earn his $12.9 million next year or he won't, and that's what's on the table for him.
Bingo. That's it. That's it. So everybody has their feelings about Lewan right now. They don't like him. Nobody is trading you 2 first-round picks for Taylor Lewan. Not happening. Nobody is trading you a first-round pick right now for Taylor Lewan. If you were to send Taylor Lewan to the market, you might get a 4th right now. Just given the time, and you're trying to unload him, and you're not going to get really anything for Lewan because he's got a lot of money, and Taylor Lewan is due $13.9 million next year. $1 million and change of which was part of his signing bonus, so you're on the hook for that as far as the salary cap is concerned. There is a $12.9 million base salary out there for Taylor Lewan, which this year they could have converted into a bonus and spread out more money throughout the contract when trying to accommodate a Julio Jones or trying to not extend Ryan Tannehill's contract or trying to make room after they did the Julio Jones thing, and they still needed more cap space. And they didn't. So here's the deal. Taylor's the left tackle this year. And if Taylor is ineffective as he was in week 1 or is unavailable as he was in week 2 and the rest of the year before, then they will cut Taylor Lewan at the end of the year and they will get a new left tackle. And they will save $12.9 million against the cap. If Taylor Lewan plays like the dominant left tackle that he has been in the past, including the 2019 playoff run, then they will keep Taylor Lewan and pay him his $12.9 million that is still on the table. That's it. There is no other alternative here. And I'm not a huge Taylor Lewan fan, but I'm also not going to complain about Taylor on a week-in, week-out basis. I'm not going to sit there and be like, did you see that right there, Taylor? Too much podcasting. I'm not going to say that because the proof will be in the pudding with him at left tackle. And if it's not good enough, then he's gone, and you save $12.9 million, and then you can go get a left tackle, or you can go get a tight end, and maybe not a great left tackle, but somebody else who can play tackle, or he's your bona fide, franchise left tackle. But it's all up to him this year, and they're not making a change in the middle of the season, and they're not making that decision until they have to. This is a lot like when Mariota was playing on the fifth-year option, and he was $20.9 million. And some people thought that Marcus was going to prove in that fifth year that he was a franchise quarterback. But at the end of the day, I went into that fifth year knowing that he's got to prove it. And once we got the Indianapolis spike on third down and the Jacksonville Thursday nighter and the Denver fiasco, he proved he wasn't it. He still made his $20.9 million, but he was never going to be that again. And he was gone. And that's what's going to happen to Taylor Lewan this year. This is where he is. So either Taylor is on the team next year or he's not. And that is the only thing that is up for discussion right now as far as his current play.
As far as his current play, I feel like we can both agree, like, if the season ended right now, his contract would not be renewed.
Correct.
What do you need to see from Taylor Lewan in the next 15 games to say, yes, no, he earned his contract?
What I just spent 25 minutes ranting about.
Not being hurt?
Availability and dependability. Mm-hmm. I need him to be dependable. I need Taylor Lewan to be dependable. Now, I was told earlier today they got just a great offensive line coach. So maybe that'll be, what sets it over the top. But to me, this is all on Taylor. This is your career. Because if the Titans release him, unless somebody's stupid like the Giants signing Adoree Jackson to that just unbelievable contract, unless that happens, like nobody is going to bring you in to be a franchise guy and pay you that kind of money. So, like the Titans want Taylor to succeed, and I want Taylor to succeed, and I think it's good for the team if Taylor succeeds. But this is all about Taylor, and his career is hanging in the balance right now as far as being a franchise left tackle. And the one thing, and I know people hate saying this or whatever, anybody care about your podcast anymore if you're not the starting left tackle of the Titans? Like, if you're a backup swing tackle on the Philadelphia Eagles, is anyone going to really care about your bus podcast anymore?
I feel like it already has a big enough audience.
I would be surprised if when Taylor Lewan leaves the game, now he may go into another venture in the media, mm-hmm. but I would be surprised if the excitement of that podcast is the same when you're not a top guy in the league. See, I didn't even know this, and I'm not a huge, bro guy, and I know this is like a bro podcast.
It's broy.
But, apparently Will Compton is doing podcasts, during the season and Lewan's not.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
He has a baby on the way.
Will Compton does?
For him, yeah.
Nice enough guy. I had no idea, though. And so that's...
Well, but... do you follow anyone or anything that would even inform you about the Bussin' with the Boys podcast?
When Derrick Henry's on it, I know.
That's true.
That's the one thing. The one thing I will give that podcast is in the offseason when Derrick Henry does it, it is a very we popular. Get an entire show out of Derrick Henry because it's the only time that Derrick Henry says anything honestly.
Right.
And so that I will give you. But I just, the whole thing, all the extra stuff, to me, in terms of its true popularity or its true impact, it goes away if you're not the starting left tackle. If you're a backup swing tackle on another team, you'll get some good guests because you're playing in the NFL, but it's not the same. It's like Floyd used to always tell me. There's a difference between being the GM and not being the GM. And I think going back to Taylor, this is kind of the spot that he's in where, dude, you are the starting franchise left tackle. You make a ton of money. Mm-hmm. This is your chance. And once how old's Taylor? 28, 27?
I don't know how old he is. Late 20s, early 30s.
Who's looking for, when we're talking about franchise tackles, who's looking for a late 20s, early 30s guy with injuries?
Not very many people.
Okay.
He's 30.
Who's looking for a 30-year-old franchise guy to pay $15 million to? Not many teams. So, again, everybody's going to complain about Taylor Lewan. And, hey, look, if Taylor plays this week and doesn't have a good game, we'll take all the phones and they'll all be like, Tyler Lewan needs to stop podcasting and he needs to focus on football. Guys, this is Taylor's job. This is it. This is
what he gets paid $15
This
million
is the moment of truth for him this season, whether he can be dependable and available. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get back to your texts. And we got a Thursday night game. Get excited about that. That we will get into. The Texans, to me, this will be the first look that I get as far as the Houston Texans are concerned. 615-737-1025 is our phone number here on Stillman and Company. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love my friends at Hiller because they take great care of my home, and I promise you that they can take great care of your home. That's right. So whenever you're trying to figure out who's perfect for what you're trying to do, why don't you call my friends at Hiller? Because they take, again, great care of everybody's home, and they can do the same for you. This month, you got to trade in your old stuff to get credits for great new systems. Trade in your old HVAC unit and earn up to $1,500 in credits towards select new systems. Upgrade from a standard water heater to a tankless water heater and earn up to $500 with your trade. Trade up to a new electrical panel and earn up to $500 in credits for your old one. Their work is backed by the Happy Old Beer, the service is free guarantee. Their technicians are continuing to take measures to keep you and your family safe and healthy on every single call. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Vanderbilt Commodores, and the Tennessee Volunteers. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Titans, Colts. Division rivals renew acquaintances in Week 3 at Nissan Stadium. Tune in Sunday at 9:30 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard, live from Rock Bottom Brewery and Restaurant on Broadway. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey. Hey. Nice tailgate setup.
Thanks. Dos Equis?
Sure.
Really hits the spot.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Well, I hope your team never wins as long as I'm alive.
Same to you.
A dose of respect. Brought to you by Dos Equis, proud sponsor of college football. Get a dose. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2021. Imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
Eyes, teeth, we love your whole face. Protect your employees' overall health by adding Delta Dental and Delta Vision plans to your benefits package. These plans offer cost savings and the largest networks of providers. Learn more at deltadentaltn.com.
We can see your smile, and we think you should be able to see it too. With Delta Dental of Tennessee and Delta Vision, we can improve your overall well-being by keeping your teeth and eyes healthy. Visit deltadentaltn.com to find an affordable plan.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Fall is here, and that means the cold winds of winter are coming. It's a great time to replace those old, drafty windows. Pella is the leader in the industry for top-quality window and door products. But Pella Windows and Doors are also affordable, extremely affordable. Pella has payment plans less than $95 a month to replace your windows. So, I suggest you purchase your windows and doors from the experts at Pella of Nashville. Go to PellaofNashville.com.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
312 Pizza Company is family-owned and operated, bringing you a slice of Chicago to Nashville. 312 Pizza Company specializes in deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and all things Chicago style. And always made from scratch using secret family recipes passed down generation to generation. 312 Pizza is open 7 days a week and located in Germantown with dine-in, takeout, and curbside available. Call 615-730-7888 to order 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Here they come, turn 4.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe. Every Saturday morning at 9, we hit the big topics. The Ally 400, Kyle Busch, frustrated, Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, and talk to the big names.
I'll go ahead and blame you.
Oh, I think it's big.
Could go a lot of different directions right now.
I was so impressed.
How cool that's going to be.
It's Chasing Checkers, Saturday morning at 9 on ESPN 1025 The Game and wherever you get your podcast.
Hey, Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Stillman and Company, who wants to see Zach Brown at Bridgestone Arena on Sunday, October 17th? Head over to YouTube and subscribe to the 1025 The Game YouTube page, and you'll enter for your chance to see Zach Brown. One winner will be chosen on Monday, September 27th. Phone lines, Caroline.
One texter checks in and says, stop comparing everyone to Mariota. Wentz is not like Mariota at all. Also, Tannehill was traded to be an insurance policy, but also proved they knew Mariota wasn't the guy.
No. Mariota, when the day that they traded for Tannehill, we were at the SEC basketball tournament, and Kentucky and Tennessee were going to play on Saturday, and it was going to be an epic, Kentucky-Tennessee basketball game. Mm-hmm. And so we had done the show. The show was going to be all Tennessee-Kentucky basketball. Then they traded for Tannehill. And they traded for Tannehill at like 153. And so we jump on the air, and we're talking about this Tannehill trade. And John Robinson holds a press conference. How many general managers hold a press conference after making a transaction right before the start of the league year?
I don't know very many.
And the press conference was, I've talked to Ryan. I've talked to Marcus. Marcus is the starter. Ryan is the backup. And Marcus is the starter. And if there was any question, Marcus is the starter. And that was the Robinson press conference. Tannehill was brought in because the Titans didn't want to be caught with their pants down like they were at the end of the 2018 season. That's why he was here. Now, Mariota stunk, and then that's why they made the move to Tannehill. But there no bones about it, that it was all about being the backup. In fact, when ESPN tried to start a quarterback controversy, Diana Rossini was like, my sources in Tennessee are telling me there's a quarterback controversy, which there never was in training camp of 2019. Tannehill was asked about the quarterback controversy, and he said, I don't know what they're talking about. I'm the backup. So this idea that Tannehill was brought in to replace Mariota, he wasn't. We thought.
Well, the texture says as an insurance policy, and I think that's that's
where you get hurt.
What any backup quarterback is really brought in to be.
Sure. But, he was brought in so that if Mariota got hurt, they could win a game.
Yes.
That was why he was here. And so this idea of no, they knew Marcus wasn't any good. That's when they made the move to Tannehill, we were talking about whether or not they'd be bad enough to be able to get Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. That was because at that point, Tua was still the guy. And so we're okay, second, third quarterback. What about Herbert at Oregon? And that, those were the talks.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah, this team is terrible. What's next?
One texter texts in and says, Lawan healthy is good, but he isn't the same since he lost all the weight, but he isn't always available. Either personal problems on the field, hurt, PEDs, but I would rather have him.
Yeah, so the way the NFL works is if you were good before you got hurt and then you got hurt and you're not good after, they're not paying you for what you were when you were good. That's why this year Taylor Lewan is playing on a team option for next year. He's not, but he is. Mm-hmm. It's people don't understand contracts in the NFL. And every time I say that, everybody gets mad at me. But they don't understand contracts in the NFL. Because, this year when they restructured Tannehill's contract, they essentially extended Tannehill's contract. They actually did technically extend Tannehill's contract. Lewan is not a team option for next year, but it's $1 million and change in dead cap if they cut him. And it's 13.9 against the cap if he's here. So if he's not if they can't depend on him, they're going to cut him. Just like they cut Adam Humphries because they couldn't depend on him. Just like they cut Kenny Vaccaro last year. When you can't depend on somebody and it's either do we pay him or not, they cut him. And that's what's going to happen to Taylor. Saffold's in the same situation. They'll cut him too if he can't be depended upon. Caroline's coming up next, 615-737-1025, and we'll get our little thoughts on Thursday night football as well. Tune into Sounds Baseball, presented by 312 Pizza Company and Farm Bureau Health Plans. Tonight, the Sounds have their final home series of 2021, hosting the Columbus Clippers, the AAA affiliate of the Cleveland Indians. It's Fan Appreciation Week at First Horizon Park, and you can enjoy $5 and $6 beers all week long. Grab tickets today. Visit NashvilleSounds.com. First pitch at 7:05. And again, Matt Cook didn't pitch yesterday, so maybe he'll pitch today, and we root for the Sounds. Except when Matt Cook is pitching. Then we root for Cookie.
We root for Matt Cook and the Sounds. We just hope everyone has a good time.
We just hope both teams have fun.
That's what it's all about. It's all about the memories.
I mean, it is AAA baseball, so it's not like, I
hope that memories are made out there, and I hope that everyone gets along and maybe makes some new friends.
Well, yeah, you made a new friend last night.
I did.
So there you go.
I did, and I'm rooting for him.
There you go. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobus, and fall feels continue tonight, mainly clear, down near 50 degrees. A little patchy morning fog can't be ruled out very early for your Friday. High temperatures soaring into the middle 70s, so still cooler than average and plenty of sun.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee, serving golfers since 1968.
In the concert event of a lifetime, come experience the dynamic energy of one of the most accomplished musicians of our time, Carlos Santana. Blessings and Miracles Tour 2021. This Wednesday, First Bank Amphitheater. Take a trip through the hits from Woodstock to Supernatural and a backwards flip into the unknown. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com.
When you purchase a certified pre-owned vehicle from Mercedes-Benz of Music City, you have the power of the star backing your car. To meet certification standards, a car has to be less than 6 years old with less than 75,000 miles. All certified vehicles come with 24/7 personal assistance and an extra 12-month unlimited mileage warranty. Right now, you can get 1.99% financing for 36 months on select 2017 to 2019 certified models at Mercedes-Benz of Music City. See more at mbofmc.com.
Has she seen an engagement ring she really loves? A unique look from a top-notch designer? You won't find it at just any store, but you will at Genesis Diamonds.
At Genesis Diamonds, we work with the most sought-after designers in this country. We are proud to feature lines like Tacori, Baraggio, Kirk Cara, Henry Dawsey, A. Jaffe, Jeff Cooper, Gabriel, and many more.
Since other jewelers can't get these designers, David says beware of knockoffs.
Often stores will result to copying or knocking off a designer ring just to compete with Genesis. And oftentimes you will actually pay the same, if not more, for that fake.
Why risk it? Genesis has the real deal. Unique, handcrafted, cutting-edge designs and award-winning craftsmanship.
So not only will you get the exact product you wish with the brand you trust, but at a price that you can afford.
Get her the ring of her dreams at Genesis Diamonds.
Every girl wants a designer ring. They don't want Joe in the back room to make a copy. They want the real thing.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Bode Nashville is a chic and stylish downtown Nashville hotel, walking distance to some of Music City's most popular spots. Bode Nashville is also home to Sidebar, an in-house cocktail bar, perfect pregame spot on your way to a ball game, a show at Ascend Amphitheater, Broadway, or as a nightcap after exploring the city. Join Jared and Caroline on Monday, September 27th, live at the Bode Nashville for a Titans edition of Stillman and Company from 2 to 6. We hope to see you there. Bode Nashville is located at 401 2nd Avenue South in Sobro. See you on Monday.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, CraneWorks. The CraneWorks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give CraneWorks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth-moving equipment. Call CraneWorks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
Darren McFarland.
He's cool. He's got a personality, and they make fun of him.
Willie Donick.
Would this be a fun guy to come to work and hang around with all day?
Chase McCabe.
They're just like, hey, we need you to play yourself.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company, Southeastern Carolines is this weekend.
It is this weekend, Saturday morning at 10 a.m., so you can tune in on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube on ESPN 1025 The Game's accounts. Brought to you by 312 Pizza Company in Germantown, so I will be there doing the show live at 10 a.m. until about 10:30, so hang out with me. I'll be picking my betting picks for the SEC slate of the day. I'll be giving you any kind of tips that you may need to bet on the games, anything you may need to know, just getting you set for the day of SEC football. Again, that is brought to you by 312 Pizza Company in Germantown.
So, Thursday Night Football tonight, the Texans play the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are 2-0 and have looked great so far.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Sam Darnold is like the next Tannehill, like leaves Adam Gase and is actually not a bad quarterback. But we all think the Texans stink, right? Davis Mills is going to start at quarterback and all.
Yes. As
a Titan fan, are you supposed to root against the Texans tonight because they're in your division? And because technically they are tied with you at 1-1, and they have the upper hand because they have a divisional win against Jacksonville, and you played Seattle. But I kind of just don't want Carolina to be a good team. And I don't know why I don't want Carolina to be a good team.
Probably. Is it because you have your mind made up about Sam Darnold and Carolina being a good team?
No. I'm pro Darnold. I was hopeful that the Colts, because the two guys that were out there.
Hey, Darnold.
The two guys that were out there were Darnold and Wentz, and I was praying that they picked up Carson Wentz. Because I thought there was a chance Darnold might be good. And there might be. I mean, I don't know. No one's talking about it.
I think that's the Jets effect.
Well, I think it's the Gase effect.
Yes.
So Gase was brought into Miami to fix Tannehill,
mm-hmm.
and they fired Gase and they got rid of Tannehill. And then Tannehill came here and was awesome.
Right.
And so, like Mike Greenberg, because he hates Gase so much as coach of the Jets then, kept bringing up the fact that look at what Tannehill's doing, and he's just lighting it up away from Adam Gase. I almost think it's because like there's X amount of teams that I think can compete with the Titans in the NFL, like for a Super Bowl, and I don't want to add a team in there in Carolina. But then again, the odds of Carolina making the Super Bowl to play the Titans is so low.
And also, the Panthers have to get past Tampa Bay. They play in a much more difficult division.
Well, because they have Tampa Bay.
Yes.
The other two.
Yes. Well, I mean, the Saints, I had my mind made up about
Ain't
the
no
Saints going into
for
the
Carolina
season.
on Sunday.
That is true.
Time now, though, for Carolines.
Get in on the action. Put the money on the mahogany. What's on tap on the sports books? It's time to break it all down with Carolines. Here on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Carolines is brought to you by BetUS. It's America's favorite sports book for over 25 years. You can sign up at BetUS.com, mention GAME, and you can get a sign-up bonus on your first deposit. First and foremost, how about them Cardinals? Second of all, Astros, Angels, going to be Houston on the money line, minus 175. They're throwing out Lance McCullers on the mound. He is 12-4 with a 3.11 ERA in 26 starts. So he is 2-1 with a 2.10 ERA through his 4 starts against the Angels so far this season. On the road so far this season, he has a 2.53 ERA. So electric against the Angels, electric on the road. That's exactly what he's going to be doing tonight. Angels are throwing Alex Cobb on the mound. He was 8-3 with a 3.59 ERA in 16 starts. So making a second start since he returned from IR after missing all of August and a part of September. So give me the Astros on this one.
So I was in a minor league clubhouse yesterday, and I just got the sense that everybody's ready to go home.
Yeah.
And I think that's how the Angels are, so I'll take the A's.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take the Astros.
We've also got a little bit of college football tonight.
Ooh.
Marshall, App State. Give me App State on the money line, and I believe that is minus 280. So, I mean, not great odds there. The spread here is 7.5. But I'm going to take App State. So, Marshall led Eastern Carolina last week. They were leading 38-21 heading into the fourth quarter. Blew the lead. Ended up losing 42-21, I want to say. Turned the ball over several times in the fourth quarter. And App State played Miami very close. Miami, not a team I'm incredibly high on, but App State lost to Miami only 25-23 a couple weeks ago. So I think App State's the better play here.
So I am going to take
the Thundering Herd.
I am.
Okay.
I'm just anti-App State.
Why?
Because Louisville's football coach Scott Satterfield's from there, and I don't really like him that much. And Darrington Evans is from there, and I don't really like him that much because he can't ever be healthy. So I'm going to take Marshall.
That is such flawed reasoning.
Yeah.
We also have a little bit of Thursday night football. Panthers, Texans. Give me Panthers. So on the money line is minus 450. Not even worth your money. The spread is 8.5.
For an NFL game, that's wild.
That's wild, and I think I'm still going to take Panthers minus 8.5.
You know, I'll take the Texans plus 8.5.
Okay.
You know, they looked respectable against Cleveland. Davis Mills is the quarterback.
A rookie quarterback.
But, plus 8.5. Plus 8.5. Okay. I'll take the Texans tonight. Should be a fun one. That's it for us. We're out of here. ESPN Radio coming up next tomorrow. Fireball Hot Take Friday starts at 2. We'll see you.